What is going on, folks? Hope everyone is doing well today on this Thursday afternoon, folks. Good time to get these in, especially right now. A lot of things going on, like always. So again, if you have the time, please check these out. This is heartfelt, coming again from me to you all. You got nothing but love. So if you get a chance, try to watch the videos, guys, as when you can. I know we're all busy. Real quick, guys, just a reminder, Acts 17:11, search the scriptures daily to see if what I'm telling you is true. Just don't take my word for it. You're not supposed to do that. That's not how we do things. Be as a noble Bereans, who, unlike the Thessalonians, folks, they were ready with all eagerness of mind to receive the word, but again, just didn't take Paul's word at it simply because Paul said so. We're supposed to search the scriptures daily to see if what I'm telling you or anybody's telling you is true. Just try to keep that going as much as possible, so you'll know exactly where I'm coming from, guys. All right. Also, again, trust in Yahweh with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding, folks. Proverbs 3:5-8. Acknowledge Him in all your ways. He'll guide your paths, and it'll be health to your body and marrow to your bones. All right. Yahweh corrects those that He loves. I'm just paraphrasing again. Proverbs 3, verse 11-13. Also, remember, this is really key. This is just pivotal in all this, guys. I like to call it Lady Wisdom's Seminar. Proverbs chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9. Pretty much in a nutshell. Just, again, paraphrasing it. Rebuke a wise man. Correct a wise man. He's going to thank you for it. He's going to love you for it because he's become wiser. Correct a scoffer or rebuke a scoffer, talk to them. You're going to get a blot. All right? You can't. They're uncorrectable. You can't correct them. They just want to win an argument, and they'll try any tactic or technique, doctrines or demons, what that is, just so they can win the argument. 1 Corinthians 1, verses 20-28. Remember, the foolishness of Yahweh is wiser than the wisdom of men. And the strength of Yahweh the weakness of Yahweh is stronger than the strength of men. 1 Corinthians 2:6, we speak wisdom in a mystery, folks, amongst they that are full grown. All right, these are just the facts. Hosea 4:6, huge. This is pretty much, this is the basis of what I'm doing these videos on, guys. Yahweh's people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Yes, faith, hope, and love. These three live. The greatest of these is love. We know that. Yes, that's a fact. But we must understand that His people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. You don't want to have a lack of knowledge, because then you don't know what faith, hope, and love is, even though you may think it. But that's the problem. 2 Timothy 3:16, every scripture is profitable for teaching, correcting, and reproving. Galatians 6:6, communicate all things. All right. Communicate all things. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Understand. Let's go ahead and jump in, folks, on this. Forgive me in advance on the tech part. This is all, I'm like a little baby when it comes to stuff like that. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, and I know I'm going to mess up. So just kind of bear with me, guys, but it'll make it the video kind of easier as what I'm trying to do. The title of this one, I guess, be Reality. Again, Reality Part 2. A lot of ways you can go with this one. I've always said on the issue of the vaccine, folks, it goes beyond vaccines. It goes deeper than that. It does. It's a subject that I'm not worthy to teach, or no one is. There's no one on this planet that's capable of teaching it. I don't even know what kind of words to put into it. But understand, that's how deep this subject goes. But for right now, it's been focused on vaccines. But this is why, if you keep breaking this down, it's going to go beyond vaccines. You'll see what I'm trying to say. So, but for right now, I want to show, again, some examples. This is, again, continuing on also with gotquestions.org. I never finished that one up. Deleting my comment. All right. And this hopefully, Yahweh willing, is going to explain how sad and destroyed for lack of knowledge gotquestions.org is. All right. It really is, and that's sad. It's hard for me to digest that kind of pride where, no, you're just wrong. I'm proving it to you. I'm breaking it down. I'm breaking it down so much to the point that, so understand what's the problem now. Let me, bear with me on this one. Let's jump over to this video from gotquestions.org. This video was put out about maybe 4 years ago. The video was 4 years ago. Why would God allow COVID-19? Now remember what's going on in the world 4 years ago, folks. You kind of know, get a general picture. A year before this, they put out a why would God allow pandemics and plagues like that, which is also right when COVID started. But a year later, now you have one just talking about COVID in general. By the way, folks, gotquestions.org, just to give you a little bit of just to explain something about them that even I'm learning. Not that I know, not that I'm an expert on them, because I'm not, but just to FYI, so you know who you're talking about. What are they about? Let me see if I can put it here. Let's see. Maybe this. No, I think it's maybe it's this one. Yes. Just googling it. Just googling AI. This is what they brought up as far as Got Questions Ministries, which is gotquestions.org. The folks there at YouTube. And this is true. I think that makes sense. Got Questions Ministry is a relatively small ministry, which around 11 to 50 employees. Now, whether that's true or not, but again, this is when you're Googling this stuff, getting the information, gotquestions.org ministry should know better, but I'm pretty sure they could elaborate on that, but I don't think they're just, AI is just making this up. God Question Ministries is relatively a small ministry, with around 11 to 50 employees, but it has a significant online presence and reach. That I could tell. It operates primarily through its website, gotquestions.org, which is one of the frequently visited Christian websites globally, according to their website. And I think they're right as far as people that have questions about the Bible. Here's a more detailed look. Employees Got Questions Ministry has between 11 and 50 employees, according to their LinkedIn page, website. They average around 22 million page views per month. Wow, 22 million page views per month, and have received over 2.5 billion page views in total, according to their website. Wow, think about that. 2.5 billion. If that's true, we're talking about maybe a little bit more than about a quarter of the population of the planet. Online presence. They have translated their content into 205 languages with 79,000 translated pages. They also have a blog, podcast, and apps for Android and iPhone, according to their website. Now, 11 to 50 employees, but look at the amount of outreach we're talking about here. All right, Jacob 3 comes into play. All right, do not many of you become teachers, my brother. That small tongue of Jacob 3, that tongue steers mighty ships like the bridle of a horse. Big old animal, but just slide his tongue to the right, left, and it just maneuvers the entire animal. All right, this is why it is disappointing to see such a small tongue like this delete truth, yet have billions of people going to them for questions about Yahweh, about our Father in heaven, about our Savior. That's concerning. But Satan works that way. So let's go ahead and go back to this video 4 years ago, again from gotquestions.org. Why would God allow COVID-19? Guys, I want you to emphasize how I'm going to explain to you 1 + 1 = 2, A to B = C, cause and effect. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. All right, and why many of us should not become teachers. I'll go ahead and have this pastor, I forgot his name, Pastor Nelson, but anyway, let him, he does, I guess, a lot of their talking, but let him go ahead and answer this.
But afterwards, as always, I'll share some helpful resources. So Stick around to the end. Why would God allow COVID-19? The whole world seems to be asking this question, a fact that actually gives the biggest part of the answer. More on that shortly. COVID-19, or coronavirus disease 2019, is a respiratory illness caused by a coronavirus. The effect of the illness can range from mild to severe. First identified in Wuhan, China in late 2019, the virus quickly spread to other countries. On March 11, 2020, COVID-19 was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. Only a liar or a true prophet can claim to know God's reasons for bringing about COVID-19 or any other specific calamity. That's partly because God's purpose extends to every individual involved, from the beginning of time to the end of the world. Understanding every possible factor goes far beyond human ability. But God has within His complete knowledge and control every facet of every situation. Romans chapter 8, verses 28 through 30. The Bible reveals some insights about God's use of deadly disasters in general, but we must apply relevant scripture and the principles of faith in order to gain wisdom about any specific disaster. As with any mystery, to solve it, we must go from the known to the unknown in our search. So we'll put the question of why God would allow COVID-19 into the context of what we already know from the Bible and from personal experience. We know that life is a gift from the Creator. Acts chapter 17, verse 25. We know that God alone has the right and power to give life and take it away, according to His own wisdom and plans. Job chapter 2, verse 10. We know that life is short and includes some degree of suffering, ending in death and future for how we live our lives. Only one life, no do-overs. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. Short or long, our lifespan and date of death are set and controlled by God. Matthew chapter 10, verse 29. Even the longest human lives are like a breath. Their days are like a fleeting shadow. Psalm chapter 144, verse 4. Moses described God's sovereignty over life and death, and this could have been written about today's COVID-19 pandemic. You turn people back to dust, saying, return to dust, mortals. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that has just gone by, or like a watch in the night. Yet you sweep people away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. In the morning it springs up new, but by evening it is dry and withered. Psalm chapter 90, verses 3 through 6. So, what is God's purpose in allowing COVID-19? Without being too dogmatic, we know that, generally speaking, one of God's purposes in trials is to get the world's attention off themselves and onto Him, their Creator and Savior, which is the biggest part of the answer to the question at hand. Why would God allow COVID-19? Millions are suddenly asking that question right now, believers and non-believers alike, which means that God is on their minds. God desires for all people to earnestly seek Him and find Him, discovering that He is actually close to us. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13. God desires us to sense our own weakness and neediness so that we put our trust in Him. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. God desires people to fear Him with proper reverence and awe. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. To love Him more than their own lives. John chapter 12, verse 25. And to show love and gratitude for the Savior by loving and helping fellow humans, especially the suffering. James chapter 2, verses 14 through 17. God desires to shift our focus and affection away from this temporary, troubled world to our eternal heavenly home. Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. Times of trouble are a prime motivation for us to store up treasures in heaven, rather than clinging to the treasures on earth. Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 through 3. And to be good stewards of those blessings God has given us in this life. Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. God wants us to trust Him, absolutely, knowing that our times are in His hands. Psalm chapter 31, verse 15. Ultimately, it is the poor and hurting who seek God, not the rich and comfortable. It is danger and calamity that turn men to their Savior, not health and wealth. See Mark chapter 2, verse 17. It is suffering that wakens us to our true need. C.S. Lewis put it this way: God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pain. It is his megaphone to rouse the deaf world. Life for all people means facing suffering, death, and their eternal destiny. Even if we develop immunity to COVID-19, we can't escape the fact of trouble in the world. What's best for us in any situation is to seek God. Blessed are those who keep his statutes and seek him with all their heart. Psalm chapter 119, verse 2. Want to learn more? Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Click on questions.org for more great.
All right, you heard the video, guys. Were there. Threw out quite a few scriptures there, but did that answer your question? Why did God allow COVID-19? All right, and just keep this in mind, folks. I'm not saying that he was wrong or anything. He spoke the word. Don't get me wrong. Remember, every scripture is profitable for teaching, correcting, and reproving. That's one of the passages that I always try to start my videos off. That's 2 Timothy 3:16. Now, also in 2 Timothy 2, verse 14, and 2 Timothy 2:14, we find this: of these things put them in remembrance, charging them in the sight of Yahweh, that they quarrel not about words, to no profit, to the subverting of them that hear. Give diligence to present yourself approved of Yahweh, approved to Yahweh, a workman that needs not be ashamed, handling property, the word of truth. Okay? Did he handle the word properly? Who am I to judge him on that, folks? I'm saying, but just a general question, did he? Again, just my opinion, but I'm not judging him. I think there's a lot of things that he left out, because remember, our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Okay? One of those is Exodus 15:26, where Yahweh is telling the children of Israel very bluntly. I'm surprised he didn't bring that one up, but again, for whatever reason, you look at that passage in Exodus 15:26. It's one that I posted before quite a bit, folks. It's actually, again, I'm just surprised he didn't, because it is one that most definitely fits for this his topic, COVID-19. Why? Exodus 15:26, and he said, if you diligently listen to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, and will do that which is right in his eyes, and will pay attention to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you, which I have put on the Egyptians. For I am Yahweh who heals you, Yahweh Rapha. All right. Now, he just got done saying that COVID is a respiratory disease, which is true. Of the lungs, true. Okay, so Yahweh is letting us know, I will put none of the diseases. In other words, Yahweh is also letting us know he chooses to put diseases and illnesses on who he wills, and who he does not want to put diseases on for whatever reason. Puts them on, takes them out. Puts them on, takes them off. He controls who gets what. This is why the healthy have no need of a physician. That's what her son would say, 1,500 years later. Because why would the healthy have to see a doctor to prevent something that Yahweh decides? That is why it's just makes no sense. It makes, well, the Messiah is saying it makes perfect sense. But people don't listen. They don't listen. So again, I'm just surprised he didn't put that one on there, folks. So doesn't mean he's wrong, right? But again, handling property, and then also, do not many of you become teachers, my brother. So, but we heard what he said. A lot of it is to bring Yahweh, to bring people back to Yahweh, God. In this case, to bring them back to Jesus, so they could get their minds back on Him. Remember, whoever believes on me shall not perish. But yeah, remember this whole point. That's what's going to save us. That's why He allows COVID-19. That's pretty much what He's saying in a nutshell. By the way, I agree. I agree with him. I agree with him. And notice how many people they communicate to. Quite more than me. Way more than me. All right. So would that That was about 4 years ago. Well, did that solve the problem? Apparently not. Apparently not. Now, but just want you to hear that right there. Now, what's interesting is around the same time that's going on, and this gotquestions.org is putting that out, we also have this going on. Let's see about 5. Okay. We have this going on from your science people. Okay. This is the video that I was putting on. This guy here, his shows come on PBS. Saw that. The baby, y'all have seen him before. This guy here, where's he at? Right here. Pretty much the title of this is why the mRNA vaccine is insanely difficult to make. All right, that's the title of it. Why the mRNA vaccine, COVID vaccine, but there's more than, is insanely. This even also applies, you can even go to, as far as measles is concerned, but understand that what it's saying is insanely difficult to make.
Researchers and public health experts warned us that the earliest possible window for a vaccine would be the end of 2020. They also cautioned us that vaccine development takes time, and it could be much longer than that. But in the closing weeks of the year, 2 vaccines, one from pharma companies Pfizer and BioNTech, one from Moderna, began rolling out in some parts of the world. They weren't the first worldwide, but they were, in a sense, the first of their kind. And like Babe Ruth calling his shot, it seems a little like the experts knew how this was gonna go. And that's because a technology decades in the making was finally able to rise to the occasion just when we needed it most. This is the story of how a new vaccine technology based on RNA came to be. And if it continues to prove safe and effective, it won't just be for COVID, it will be a major change in the way we design all vaccines in the future. Now, we're going to cover a lot of research today, but none of these papers were published out of the blue. A lot of progress in immunology and biotech had to happen for mRNA vaccines to happen, and a lot of people had to do that research. The job of a vaccine is to safely expose our immune system to an antigen, a piece of a protein from a pathogen or infectious agent that our immune system will remember and recognize. It's like a wanted poster that will teach our immune cells what to seek out and destroy when a real infection happens. Traditionally, we've introduced antigens in a few different ways, using a live weakened pathogen, so one that is alive but won't hurt us, a killed pathogen, or just a piece of one. We've also used viruses to deliver instructions to our cells to make an antigen. Whatever method you use, this takes years of work. For example, to make the measles vaccine, scientists had to grow the virus for almost 10 years. They needed to weaken the virus enough that it would trigger an immune response without making you sick. But starting around the 1990s, scientists thought that maybe they could cut out the middleman and use messenger RNA, or mRNA, to reprogram our cells so that they make those viral antigens by themselves. Instead of us producing them in a laboratory somewhere, our cells could do the work. They hoped that such an approach might be safer and more efficient than traditional vaccines, at least for some diseases. After all, the job of RNA is to guide the production of proteins in a cell, and antigens are generally proteins. mRNA isn't actually the genetic material inside our cells. That's DNA. You can think of DNA as a giant library containing the blueprints for any kind of protein your body might need to make. But since it doesn't make sense to schlep the whole library with you every time you need to ask a manufacturing plant to make something, it is easier just to copy out the specific protein blueprints you want. mRNA is that copy. It brings the genetic sequence for a protein transcribed from the cell's DNA to the place where proteins are made. mRNA vaccines use this feature to safely coax our cells into using their own protein-making machinery to create a viral antigen from scratch. And this turns out to be a big advantage when you're dealing with something like a totally new virus causing a sudden pandemic. Because designing one of these vaccines doesn't even require a sample of the virus. All you need is a digital file with its genetic sequence. That's because as long as you know the sequence of DNA or RNA, you can just make it. It is not nearly as simple with protein-based antigens. Proteins are all foldy and weird. DNA and RNA are just linear strings. Scientists can simply download the genetic sequence of the virus and have a candidate vaccine ready to start testing within weeks or even days. That's what happened with Moderna's vaccine, which was ready for preliminary tests less than a month after the genome of the SARS-CoV-2 virus was published online. Also, this enables a plug-and-play approach. Once you have all the basic pieces to make an mRNA vaccine in place, you don't need a new setup to make a new vaccine for a new virus. Theoretically, you can just swap in new RNA and go from there. And there's also one more reason they're so speedy to put together. Many vaccines require adjuvants. These are substances that enhance the immune system's response to the vaccine and attract the right immune cells. But mRNA, it turns out, is pretty good at bringing in the immune system all by itself. So it avoids the potential need to spend additional months or years testing various types and amounts of adjuvants and whether they're necessary to make the vaccine work. You can see how all of this could make mRNA vaccines the perfect technology to rely on when we need a defense against a new pandemic stat. But there's a reason why we're only now hearing about them, because they just weren't ready before. You see, for all its benefits, mRNA also has some drawbacks, which have taken literal decades of research to resolve, just in time for COVID-19. This research got its start around 1971 when UK-based researchers studying protein production put mRNA from a rabbit into frog egg cells. They found that those cells produced the rabbit version of that protein thanks to the mRNA code. This led to a series of similar experiments with scientists being able to insert mRNA into more and more complex types of cells. Researchers also kept working on efficient ways to deliver mRNA into a cell. The first experiments in using mRNA as an actual vaccine started taking place in the early 1990s, and that is where researchers ran into huge problems. The major roadblock was that when it's introduced into the body, RNA can be pretty hard to keep in one piece. It turns out free-floating RNA is often used by tumor cells to make it easier for them to spread around. RNA that hangs around outside of our cells can also be a remnant of a cell that was infected by a virus and then blasted apart by the immune system. And so to keep us healthy from those two things, our bodies have a lot of ribonucleases, which are enzymes that break up free-floating RNA to get rid of any potential danger. So that's why in early experiments, mRNA would get destroyed before enough of it could get into a cell and start doing its magic.
Okay, I'll stop right there real quick and notate this. All right, if God sent us the vax, Jesus sent us the vax, right? And we know Yahweh controls who gets diseases and who does not get diseases. And people out there tell me, well, Tony, God gave us a brain. And God gave us common sense. You know, they tell me that stuff. Then my question is this. When this mRNA vaccine came out, by the way, with also used, abortion, to test on abortion fetuses, which they did. That's part of that whole thing. The question I'm asking is this: why is our human body that Yahweh created, our immune system that Yahweh created, why is it stopping and kicking out this mRNA, this obstacle, this stumbling block that your scientists ran into with their new invention in the early 90s? If God sent the vax, if Jesus sent the vax, I mean, how does that work? Why is if Yahweh sent the vaccine, or Yahshua sent the vaccine, like a lot of liberals say, and I need to start using my brain, then my question is, during this research, why is it the human body rejecting it at first, and the thing is unstable, and the complicated things, it took scientists even longer, and just right on time for COVID. Right on time for COVID. I mean, how does that work? I mean, how does that mean? How does that tell you that we know Yahweh gave us our immune system? We know that. He did not give us an mRNA vaccine. That's all man, because I noticed that you're not even bringing up Yahweh, God, or Jesus. You're not bringing up any of that. Not once have I heard anything about any of that. Just this. Yet you're saying it's from Yahweh. Okay, so my question is, and he's a very, apparently, he does a lot of these shows, but he's got something with anti-vaxxers, I can tell. So my question is, well, how does that work with Yahweh? Why is the human body that he created, why is it kicking out your boys, what's going on with it? How do we interpret that? But right is just like perfect, like you said in the beginning of the video, like they kind of almost knew it. Just asking, because I know his people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Stymied mRNA vaccine research for decades, until scientists found ways to make mRNA more stable. One solution was adding specific gene sequences to cap the beginning and the end of the mRNA strand. That made it look more like mRNA that was generated by our own body. But that wasn't the only quirk of messenger RNA that scientists had to contend with. On top of the ribonuclease problem, free-floating RNA can activate the immune system and attract it to its location. Yeah, sure, like we said before, attracting the immune system can be helpful because you need that to happen for a vaccine to work anyway. But this was too much of a good thing. In early attempts, the mRNA was activating the immune system so much that it would clear away the vaccine before it could do its job. Like the goal of using an mRNA vaccine is to teach the immune system to seek out the antigens that the vaccine will program ourselves to make, not to destroy the message before it gets.
Now, this little clip that I put on here for 7 minutes, 12 seconds, how did anybody hear God, Yahweh, the Messiah, Yahshua, anybody hear anything since, from all of this? And of course, this guy is a big, goes after anti-vaxxers, I know. Okay, but what I'm saying is, where's Yahweh in all this? If anything, why is the human body rejecting this and making it so complicated for them? But they just miraculously got it in at the last minute. Explain to me how that works. All you ministers out there that are preaching this other gospel, the gospel of the vax, explain to me how that works. Anybody? Anybody at all? And the reason why you heard this guy break down the vaccine. And the reason why I'm asking is because, well, where did vaccines come from? How did we even get vaccines? Where did all that come from? Came from a guy by the name of Dr. Edward Jenner, a scientist, also a very devout Christian. His father was a minister, his grandfather was a minister, his older brother was a minister, very devout Christian. And he is on record, let's go to that right here, as saying this. He's considered one of the top 5 scientists of all time, by the way. Father of immunization. Guy that created the vaccine states this, Edward Jenner statue, I am not surprised that men are not grateful to me, but I wonder that they are not grateful to God, to Yahweh, for the good which he has made me the instrument, that's it, the instrument of conveying to my fellow creatures. He is openly admitting all he created was just an instrument, a bronze serpent, the way Moses did, because Yahweh commanded Moses to do that. Not that the bronze serpent is to be worshipped or is the source of power, or Yahshua's robe, the Messiah's robe, is his robe made the woman whole. No, because he knew these scriptures. He's well aware that. He's letting you know that the science and power comes from above, okay, from Yahweh, which is true. That is a fact. It is a scientific fact from one of the top 5 scientists of all time who did what no other scientist or man could do. And the reason why he even got vaccines is because he acknowledged Yahweh, because Yahweh controls all diseases. In other words, the data is right there. Edward Jenner is also, in other words, Edward Jenner is well aware of the Exodus, that Yahweh made to differentiate it between them and them, between the Egyptians and that Yahweh, he's well aware of that, which is why he's commenting that. Again, I'm showing you the scientific data. All right. Edward Jenner is well aware of Proverbs 3:5-8. One of the ones that I read before these videos. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. This is why I know that man could do it. This is why I know there's scientists could pull off what he did. In all your ways, including science, in all your ways, as you see, and he did, including science, acknowledge him. And he will make your path straight. In all your ways, acknowledge him, including science. Today, back at least in 2009, 44% of scientists, 44% of scientists in America don't believe in Yahweh God at all. Anthony Fauci is one of them. Well, then how is that going to make your science correct? Well, it doesn't. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and depart from evil. It will be health to your body, as you clearly see. He is the creator, father of vaccines. Right? How many people y'all boast about how it got rid of smallpox? Hello, he's telling you where the science came from. This is what astonishes me about liberals. And some of y'all are educators, teachers in school. Huh? Really? Really? What are you teaching kids in school for? And nourishment to your bones. Simple. It says it right here. Observable, because the word of Yahweh is active and alive and sharper than any two-edged sword. Yes, it's right here. It's a piece of cake. Easy to see. All right. So, and Edward Jenner also knew. Which is why he's stating that very clearly. Everybody could see clear as day what Edward Jenner is saying. He also knew if I put it in here, he also knew that it was our faith that makes us whole. He knew that he was just the instrument. He knew that Yahshua's robe was just the instrument. Yahshua didn't even know who touched him. He was well aware of this, which is why he is acknowledging Yahweh and he's acknowledging the science behind it, admitting that he's just an instrument. Just like this was just an instrument that the woman thought of, and it was her, because it was her thought through her faith. If I just but touch his garment. He didn't tell her to do that. He didn't even know who touched him. That's why it is put in the scripture, because Yahweh knew this day was going to come. Clear as day. Edward Jenner was aware of that. So what went wrong? Abortions. That's what went wrong. And faith hesitancy, because this had to be first. Faith hesitant and anti-vax information coming from the age of unenlightenment, coming from the age of Darwin, all that garbage. Okay, that's later on Stanley Hopkins, the creator of the MMR vaccine. Okay, the abortions and his arrogance, all of it. This is where it all would get. Even Edward Jenner would just roll over in his grave, folks. So now, in that video, how much did you hear of Yahweh? Nothing. Yahshua? Nothing. Even Edward Jenner, the guy who made the vaccine, one of the top 5 scientists of all time, did you hear him acknowledge Yahweh? Yes, flat out told you. That's why he's wondering. That's why he's wondering if the beneficiaries of that. Well, today, look at my Facebook. Nobody, no likes, nothing. People just mock. That's destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Destroyed for a lack of knowledge. It's right there, undeniable. I'm giving you the data. I'm showing you the evidence. Nothing. That's concerned. Alarming. I mean, really? I mean, are you really that concerned about measles then anyway? COVID, people dying? No, see, in other words, that's why it's so insulting the way most of y'all are acting 5 years ago. I mean, it's ignorance, destroyed for lack of knowledge. Are you correctable? Are you correctable? All right. Now, get rid of these. I'm trying to learn how to do it again. Bear with me as I'm learning how to do this. Let's see if I do this right. Because I think these create more of a problem. Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. Just playing it safe, folks. Again, tech is not my strong point. It is not. I'll be the first one to tell you. make sure this doesn't get that echo that as I do this, clear some of these out. I think that may be it, but then again, I'm a novice at best, folks, when it comes to this. All right, now let's leave those there. Okay, so going back over here, we're going to listen now to about 3 years ago, which was a year after the this video that he put out, Why Would God Allow COVID-19, gotquestions.org. This video would then come out right here, okay? This was a year after that video from gotquestions.org. Actually, no, not that one here, folks. Where is it? This one right here. All right, the question is, should a Christian get the COVID-19 vax? Now remember, a year earlier, gotquestions.org Ministries is answering questions, why would God allow COVID-19? And then a year before that, why would God allow a pandemic? All that. In other words, and now after 2 years go by, which was 3 years ago, what are the people asking? Remember, look at the millions and billions of people that turn to this small little tongue. What, that deletes comments and truth. What, how are you steering the people? Now they're asking, should a Christian get a COVID-19 vax? What does a vaccine have to do with getting people to put their minds back on Yahweh and his Savior, and our Savior Yahshua? You did say that's why he allows COVID-19. You did say that. Well, what does a vaccine have to do with Yahweh and the Messiah? What does that have to do? I'm serious. I mean, think about how messed up and destroyed, for lack of knowledge, that is. I mean, this is what doctrines of demons are. I mean, the first question is, why are people who heard a year earlier what you said clearly, and I just showed, why are they now asking this question right here? Well, let's see how these guys...
Welcome to the Got Questions podcast. One of the best things about serving at gotquestions.org is that we get to see the questions that people are asking. So more so than maybe any other ministry in the world, we know what questions are on people's minds. In the past 20 years, we've received over 650,000 questions. So that gives us a lot of insight. So I'm here with Jeff and Kevin today, and we're going to address a question that we've been receiving a lot over the past 5 or 6 months. And we have guessed it's something to do with COVID-19. Topic at hand today is the vaccine, or the vaccines, I guess, more accurately.
Okay, now, remember, you guys from gotquestions.org, remember, because you're taking the initiative to teach, you are aware of what I read earlier, okay, in 2 Timothy, that you are making sure that you are a workman who is handling properly the word of Yahweh, I'm assuming. And you're also well aware of Jacob 3, do not many of you become teachers, my brethren. Knowing, remember, you all have what, 50 employees, according to what Google's showing, yet millions, you just admitted yourself, millions and millions of people that turn to you all for questions regarding the word of Yahweh, and you're bringing in these two guys. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that they're a bad choice. I'm just asking. Just bring that to your attention.
What should a Christian think about the vaccine? Should a Christian get these vaccines? So we're going to approach that from a few different angles based on the type of question we're receiving. The first one I'm going to talk about here briefly, is whether the COVID-19 vaccine is the mark of the beast. For those of you may not even know what is the mark of the beast. So Revelation chapter 13, it talks about...
Now here's the first thing we want to ask. A year before, you guys are on record as saying that one reason, that main reason, really big reason why God allows COVID-19, that's your answer to the question, is to bring people attention back to Yahweh and back to his Savior? Yes. And that's correct. I even agree. Now the question is the COVID-19 vaccine the mark of the beast? Interesting. How did they get at that out of that? Well, first of all, I'm doing this facetiously, by the way, guys. First of all, we know this. The fact that people are contemplating, is this the mark of the beast? That's a good thing. That is a good thing because it is doing what you guys said the year before, getting people's attention back on Yahweh. Problem is, you got a third of the population that just are mockers, okay, and laugh at anything about it. Okay, but again, just understand where I'm going with this. But that's a good thing. So hopefully you guys will say the right things and not add to the lack of knowledge and stupidity out there coming from the world. And that's a very normal and good question. But why are these people correlating vaccine? I mean, we've had vaccines before, measles vaccine, like that, and COVID-19. Well, it's pretty simple, folks, because it's getting shoved down people's throats. He causes both the small and the great, the rich and poor. But yeah, that's part of the problem. That's why, even with me, that's what's raising the alarms. And this guy here is like, huh? I mean, about a
mark that the Antichrist will require people to receive in order, sort of like a pledge of allegiance to the kingdom of the Antichrist. What exactly that is, the text isn't all that clear, but because of that, anytime there's anything that everyone in the world is receiving or considering receiving something like this, people start wondering, could this be the mark of the beast? Could this be a form
they should be.
of the mark of the beast?
They should be.
Just so you all can make a fully informed decision on whether you get the COVID-19 vaccine, wanted to maybe dispel a few myths for you. And this will be the first one we talk about, but also I need to remind everyone that this ultimately is an issue between God, your family, and your doctor. So please, by all means, consult your doctor on any questions related to the vaccine or anything else COVID-19 related. But back to the mark of the beast. In Revelation chapter 13, there are 5 things the passage talks about that will help us to identify the mark of the beast, and we believe makes it clear that the COVID-19 vaccine is not the mark of the beast. Just go through the notes pretty quickly here. First of all, the mark of the beast will be instituted in the end times during the reign of the Antichrist. The last time I checked, there is not one person who's in control of the entire world. So the Antichrist has not appeared in years, so that would seem to be an argument against this.
Okay, right there, I'm going to stop him right there. What about the spirit of the anti-Messiah? 1 John 4:1, like I said, first test the spirits. Are the spirits being tested? 1 John 4:1, we are mandated, we are ordered to test the spirits because many false prophets, deceivers have gone out to lead many astray. You guys should know that. 1 John 4:1, beloved, believe not every spirit, but prove the spirits whether they are of Yahweh, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. By this you know the spirit of Yahweh. Every spirit that confesses that Yahshua the Messiah has come in the flesh is of Yahweh, and every spirit that confesses not Yahshua is not of Yahweh, and this is the spirit of the anti-Messiah, of which you have heard that it comes, as many of the people that are asking these questions know, and now it is in the world already. It's that part of your clues here. I know you're not bringing that up. What's around back then, and also more relevant now, today, in our time? You're talking about one person, one man. Well, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Well, how could one person, one man be alive back then? I mean, see, are you sure you know what you're talking about here? Right off the bat, I'm a little bit concerned because that tongue steers mighty ships. Are you handling properly the word of Yahweh so far? Really? It's kind of an important thing. You know, I mean, right away, well, that's one strike. No, that's not a strike at all. That is not a strike at all. Okay, this, for example, let me state what. If you have Christians that are seeing stuff like this, or hearing stuff like this, faith-oriented people who don't believe, Pelosi scolds faith-oriented people who don't believe in science. Wait a minute, huh? How does that work? How does that work? All right, but most importantly, we have the creator of vaccines, Edward Jenner, one of the top 5 scientists of all time, who is showing clear as day he acknowledges Yahweh. And I'm sure if he was alive right now, I mean, you could easily find data. He was a devout Christian. He was. This man, what does the scripture say? Believe not every spirit. So how can we believe the spirit coming from this man here? But prove the spirits. Every spirit, by this you know the spirit of Yahweh. Every spirit that confesses that Yahshua the Messiah has come in the flesh is of Yahweh. I believe this statement here is clear cut. Yeah, he believes that the Messiah came in the flesh. I think it's an easy no-brainer. You can just, that's very easily verifiable. Just a statement alone is telling you that. Every spirit that confesses not that Yahshua came in the flesh is not from Yahweh. It says clearly, is not from Yahweh, but is the spirit of the anti-Messiah. Okay, what am I talking about there? Well, because these Christians, people, y'all are seeing stuff like this false doctrine. Why don't you take the vaccine? Wait. Is that even if many come in his name? Many will come in his name saying, I mean, who's putting that? I can't find that. Search the scriptures daily to see if this is true. It's nowhere in the scriptures. It is nowhere in the scriptures. Who's putting this stuff out? Stuff like this that Christians see out there, just getting bombarded. Them, God, please save humanity from the ravages of disease and suffering. God creates super smart scientists who create vaccines. Wait a minute. Creates super smart scientists who create vaccines. Then, ew, no, that's poison. I mean, where is that in the word of Yahweh? Because I can't find it. I cannot find it. Go tell a super smart scientist to touch his robe and they're going to mock you. Why? Because they are unbeliever. They're unbelieving. Okay, 44%, that was in 2009, 44%, Pew Research poll, 44% are on record. No, they don't believe that. They don't. Next question. You know, what's going on over here? Anti-God group, an anti-God group, and it names Anthony Fauci as the 2021 Humanist of the Year. Wait a minute. Is that true? Anthony Fauci is a humanist? Is that true? You better believe it. The American Humanist Association announces that Dr. Anthony Fauci as 2021 Humanist of the Year. I believe this is Anthony Fauci, right? Yeah. When you go and put out that video, 2021 Humanist of the Year, American Humanist Association, good without a God. Advocating progressive values and equality for humanists, atheists, and free thinkers. Yeah, good without a God. They're emphasizing that in their logo. This guy is their man of the year. Does his spirit confess that? Are you kidding me? Did you hear what I just said? Did you just see what I just said here? It's obvious. Good without. No, this man rejects him. And this spirit is from where? It's not from Yahweh. That means it's not from our Savior. And you guys are having this debate, talking right now on gotquestions.org. And I'm sorry, you were saying what? I mean, what am I missing here? All right. See if I put that one on. I don't think I added that one on here. I've seen that poll. I should have added that to my from the World Health Organization, or you got in the background their symbol, the big serpent. You know, who told you that you were naked? WHO. I mean, that Are they bringing up the Messiah? Nope, they're not bringing up the Messiah. Big old serpent. Well, gentlemen, what are you? I'm sorry. What are you doing?
Second, the mark of the beast will be required for anyone to be able to buy or sell. That's in Revelation 13:17. No one is proposing that you have to get the COVID-19 vaccine
No
in order to be able
one
to
is
buy or sell.
proposing. Do you know how many mandate? I mean, Kyrie Irving, the guy that plays for the Brooklyn, used to play for the Brooklyn Nets. He makes his living by playing basketball. He gets paid for it. Why was he not playing basketball? I mean, I'm sorry. How is he going to eat? We live in a capitalistic society. How is he going to purchase things? I mean, what planet are you all from? Excuse me, Europe this is why you have people asking you these questions. What are you talking? No one's proposing. What planet? I'm sorry. Destroyed for lack of knowledge. Just totally, really.
Vaccine passport that maybe with the vaccine you'll have more freedom than without it. No one is proposing this be a qualifier for economic activity. Third, some form of worship and or allegiance to the Antichrist will be required in order to receive the mark of the beast. This isn't just something go into a pharmacy and get injected and get the mark of the beast. No, there will be some sort of I'm with his kingdom. I am pledging my whole self to following him aspect to that.
Yeah, and you're saying that there wasn't? Oh boy. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. I'm sorry. Didn't I see, maybe I'm just imagining things. Didn't I see stuff like this? I got my COVID-19 vax. I mean, how many people, even to still, I got the COVID-19 vax. Changing their Facebook, I got my COVID-19 vax. Vaccinate, let's do this. You know, what is this guy talking about? I got my COVID-19 vax. I vax. COVID-19 is not over. It's still, here, this is probably better. Yeah, these right here. You can see one of them right here. I got my COVID-19 vax. Your Facebook, change your profile pic now. How many of y'all put there that your allegiance showing that you are vaccinated? I mean, quite a few. Are you kidding me? Join right here. Join the crew of Vax. I also even hear these ministers preaching another gospel of the Vax. I mean, what are you talking about? It's your allegiance to the vaccine is all over the place. How many of y'all? That's all you heard in the news. Just a constant bombardment. Constant people. I got just shaming anybody like me that were unvaccinated. What are you talking about? Oh no, this guy's. Destroyed for a lack of knowledge. No wonder people are asking more questions because they're more confused.
Fourth, will somehow relate to the number 666. How exactly it relates and what exactly the number 666 means, there's a lot of debate about that, but whatever the case, we know the mark of the beast will be connected to the number 666. And fifth,
Nothing. 6 feet social distancing. Why 6? Why 6 feet social distancing? Not 5, not 7, not 8 feet, not 4 feet. 6 feet social distancing. what is so special about 6? When everything got shut down here in America, even including my job, okay, including my job, lost my truck because of this. Why are they offering $600 of unenhanced employment benefits, which they passed? $600 enhanced, or actually unenhanced, $600 enhanced unemployment benefits. $600. Why 6? And right after the election, that big old quarrel between Pelosi and Trump over the another stimulus package or whatever it was. Why Joe Manchin was about that? Why $600 stimulus checks? Right around January 6th, that whole situation. Why $600 stimulus checks? That's another 6. What's up with the 6s? Why so many 6s? And you're like, what planet are you on?
Refuses to take the mark of the beast will be killed. So, none of these seem to be happening with COVID-19 vaccine. I've seen a few COVID-19 clinics. I did not see a guillotine sitting outside for all those who refuse the mark. So, COVID-19 vaccine is not the mark of the beast. So,
really?
A lot goes
I'm not saying it is. Just those 5 things, based off this passage of Revelation 13. Just those 5 things. Well, let me tell you, you missed one. You missed one. All right? You missed one. 6 things. There are 6 things in that passage. One, for some reason, just totally doesn't even bring it up. Revelation 13. Revelation 13. You said 5. There's actually 6. Number 6 is verse number 14. Verse 14. Revelation 13:14. And he deceives them that dwell on the earth, like gotquestions.org. He deceives you that dwell on the earth by reason of the signs which was given him to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast who has the stroke of the sword and lived. An image to the beast. Okay? Who was the guy that pushed Operation Warp Speed? Donald Trump, right? Who's the guy that got shot in the head, or the bullet, as Trump says, God saved his life. That's why, God made the bullet just graze him. Well, we don't know, it's going so fast. Did it really hit him? Yet, here is the dragon who has the power to do that if Yahweh gives him, allowing him to actually, everybody saw it, yet he's alive. Blood, it looks kind of a little bit suspicious, but again, okay, I'm not going to say that it didn't happen, because Revelation 13 is saying, yeah, but it wasn't Yahweh that saved him, because the dragon causes great signs and great wonders, so as to deceive people at gotquestions.org that they become blind as bats. That's part of the equation. In other words, I've known this since even in my Messianic days. That was always in the back of my mind. It was actually Yahweh helping me to understand, well, where the Messianics are wrong. How come the Christians are not part of the body? Actually, y'all are part of the body. The whole thing there was because I knew Christianity knows the mark of the beast. They know it. They in other words, they fear that as well as we did, as well as I did. So what would be that indicating marker? This affected my thinking a lot as a Messianic. In the Great Tribulation, why are the Christians going to be the ones hunting us Messianics down when they know about the mark of the beast, but apparently they're getting the mark of the beast, but we are to remain faithful to the end? Maybe because they eat pork. This is where I was wrong. This is where that part Yahweh had to correct me on. Or where I'm not wrong, maybe the name of Yahweh. Because there's no other name under heaven which man can be saved. Okay, maybe. But the bottom line is a lot of Christians know it is Yahweh anyway. So now we still have that. I could never, but Yahweh is now showing clearly. Well, because whatever that factor is, it means that whatever Satan, whatever he is using to deceive, means that you're still worried about the mark of the beast. You know at sometime in history that thing's going to come. But you're getting it because it says here, and he deceives them that dwell on the earth by reason of the signs. Meaning that you think it's not, but the signs are still there. It is. But you're choosing the simple road, the weak road, the carnal road. But Yahweh always raises up some because he loves you. And what do? Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killed the prophets, that stoned them, that mocked them, that just unfriend them, that not just me. I've been saying this since day one, yet you don't want to listen. Yeah. Matthew 23. I can't help but notice that you didn't even bother bringing up that. This goes in correlation with 2 Thessalonians 2. And since they refuse to believe what would save them, which is faith, he's going to send a lie, a working of error, and you're going to go along with it. You're going to go along with it right down to your doom. Because they refuse. They will be condemned. Because they refuse to believe what would save them, but chose rather to believe the lie, or just ignore people, or delete my comment. Excuse me, that's number 6, sir. How ironic. And again, you don't bring that. It's right here. It's right here, sir. You have billions of people. What are you doing, sir? What? Wow. Wow. I mean, man, this...
decision like this, at least want to remove the question of whether it's marked at least from the equation, so that you can proceed to the more important, more realistic questions
because it causes people like you to be deceived by the signs.
It's amazing how many times we precede this question, and I know some people personally who are convinced that the COVID-19 vaccine is either the mark of the beast or a precursor to it. So we really need to dispel that myth, at least right now, the way it's functioning.
And many will
the
be
COVID-19 vaccine is not the mark of the beast. I think it's good that we do dispel those misunderstandings by making sure that we're talking about accurate understanding. One of the subjects that I see coming up a lot when it comes to COVID-19 vaccines is the issue of tissue from aborted infants. That's something that people ask about pretty often. That, again, is an area where there's a lot to consider. There's a lot of things to think about. But whatever choices and decisions we make, we have to be sure that we're making them from accurate understanding. And there's a lot of different ways that people assume the connections between vaccines and abortion. One of them is that vaccines literally contain the products of abortions. That there are pieces or parts or cells from aborted infants inside the vaccines. That's not the case. There's no such thing like that in the actual vaccines themselves. There's also the question of whether or not abortions are being performed in order to test the vaccines or to produce the vaccines. That also is not the case. Where there is truth in this connection between abortion and the vaccines is in something that are called fetal cell lines. The short version of that is that in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there were a few abortions that were performed for completely separate reasons. And incidental to those, doctors took samples of cells from those aborted infants and used them to reproduce and remultiply cells that they have since used for research. And they continue to use the same lines because as long as it's the exact same material, it's more consistent and it's easier to understand the results. So the actual tissues that are being used are thousands of generations away from actual abortions. Does that mean
is a lie.
that there's absolute...
That is not true. Thousands of generations from the abortions, these thousands of generations is what he said. Thousands of generations. That is not true. That's a lie. I mean, flat out misinformation. Yet he's saying we're accurate and all that. I mean, this got really, really. Let's see. This is from them. This is from the science. This is from these guys. All right. Certain vaccines, including the mumps, measles, rubella, MMR vaccine, and also, this includes COVID, contain live, attenuated, weakened viruses, which can stimulate immunity, but cannot cause disease. The viruses are cultured in aborted fetal tissue cells. The cells were obtained more than 50 years ago, like I said, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, 50 years ago, as a result of elective abortions. And today the cells are more than 3 generations removed. Not thousands of generations removed. What in the world? He just said 3 generations removed from their origin. This is the facts right here. Thousands of generations. What are you talking about here? The Stone Age? No. Again, what you'll find out that it's not in the video, but he does have a bias because when he was a kid, it's something about rubella or something about his dad. Okay, that's the problem. But excuse me, sir. He who loves father and mother, son and daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Yet you're a teacher of the Messiah. No, I'm sorry. This doesn't fly. Right off the bat, that's a lie right there in itself. It's 3. And by the way, what difference does it make? Okay, a few abortions. Is that what he said? A few abortions? Like, sir, a few? I mean, what do you, okay, let's just say it was a few. Okay? Let's just say it was a few, even though you're admitting there, okay, let's just say, but why even add a few? In other words, you're showing already you're going the way of deception, the way of the world, and not the way, you mind the things that are of men, but you don't mind the things of Yahweh. Because if you would turn to the scriptures, search the scriptures daily to see if what you're saying to the audience is even true, you'll find clear as day in Ecclesiastes 10:1 a few abortions, just a few, thousands of generations, which isn't even true. It's just 3 generations, clear as day. We find in Ecclesiastes 10:1, search the scriptures daily, dead flies cause the oil of the perfumer to send forth an evil odor. Dead flies cause the oil of the perfumer, the wax, to send forth an evil odor. So does a little folly, just a few abortions, like you said, outweigh wisdom and honor. I'm sorry. What do you got questions on work? What? And then you're deleting Michael, really? Wow. Many will be led, many.
Totally no connection anymore? Well, not necessarily. There's no question that the ultimate origin of those cells was from
dead flies,
abortion.
Dead babies.
Those abortions weren't performed specifically for the purpose
it don't matter.
of this research.
Dead flies cause the oil of the perfumer. Okay, even the flies just fell in and they were already dead. They weren't meant to put, okay, it don't matter. They were already dead flies. You hear what he said? Dead. It's so simple.
And they are not being continually performed for the purposes of this research. So that gives us at least a more accurate grounds for understanding where do I choose personally to draw the line of how much connection I would like to have. And that's where we start to get into some of the more uncomfortable, awkward balances between competing interests and competing ideals. The rubella vaccine, for example, I know is produced using some of those techniques.
I just read it.
But my understanding is that somewhere around 5,000 miscarriages a year here in the United States are prevented because mothers are vaccinated against rubella. So if we were to step away from the rubella vaccine as an example because of an abortion that occurred in the past, then we would have to at least grapple with that idea. And that's not the only ethical.
The rubella vaccine. Okay, I just read it to you. I just, clear as day, where is it at? Clear as day, showed you. Certain vaccines, including mumps, measles, rubella, MMR vaccine, contain live, attenuated, weakened viruses which can stimulate immunity but cannot cause disease. The viruses are cultured in the aborted fetal tissue cells. The cells were obtained more than 50 years ago as a result of elective abortions. And today the cells are not thousands of generations, even if they are 3 generations removed from their origin. Okay? Ecclesiastes 10:1. Dead flies cause the oil of the perfumer to send forth an evil odor. So does a little folly. A little folly, sir, outweigh wisdom and honor. And you're saying what? By your understanding. By your understanding, you've heard from scientists that this rubella vax has saved the lives of how many pregnant women? I think is what you just said. Yeah, from your understanding. From your understanding is what you said. Matter of fact, let me just make sure that's what you said. Back it up here.
In the United States are prevented.
Back up.
Here we go. Balances between competing interests and competing ideals. The rubella vaccine, for example, I know is produced using some of those techniques, but my understanding is that somewhere around 5,000 miscarriages a year here in the United States are prevented because mothers are vaccinated against rubella. So if we were to step away from the rubella vaccine as an example because of an abortion that occurred in the past, then we would have to at least grapple with that idea. And that's not the only.
Your understanding, as you said, okay, you would have to grapple with that, and that's what people are hearing, right? Okay. Again, search the scriptures daily. I mean, you're askquestions.org, right? Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, Proverbs 3:5-8, and don't lean on your own understanding. I mean, one more time. Proverbs 3:5-8, trust in Yahweh with all your heart, and don't lean on your own understanding. Dead flies cause the oil of the perfumer to send forth an evil odor. So does a little folly outweigh wisdom and honor. Luke 5:31-32, the healthy have no need of a physician, only the sick. I'm sorry. Millions of people are asking you all these questions, believers. And you're saying your own understanding. We're going to have to grapple with that. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Not even bothering. And he will make your path straight. Don't be wise in your own eyes. I'm sorry, what did you just say, sir? Fear Yahweh and depart from evil. Abortion, sir? I don't care if it's 1 or 2. What did you just say? It will be health to your body. I mean, what are you grappling over? What are you doing? And nourishment to your bones. What is it that, I'm sorry, and they're asking you questions? I mean, huh? You're deleting my comments? Wait a minute. You are .questions.org, right? I mean, you do know that the Master said, Luke 5:31-32, people who are well do not need medicine. Was he lying? The word is iatros in the Greek, with the root word iomi. That's why it's showing medicine here. Vaccines, they didn't have vaccines back then, but you could put that right in there. I have not come for the ones with good hearts, no. I have come, remember, every scripture is profitable for teaching, rebuking, correcting, flat out. And the reason why he's making that statement is because Yahweh controls who gets what. Yes, it is very relevant. If that's not relevant, then what about what King said? It doesn't matter. At this point, you're wrong, sir. You are flat out wrong. Yet you'll go in there to get people closer to God, get back to you. How are you? You're getting them further away. You're just getting them further away. Going to the unbelieving. What? This is now, who's telling you? According to whose understanding? According to whose? His understanding? The American Humanist of the Year? A world good? Him? Anti-Messiah spirit? Really? I'm sorry. What is a doctrine of demons? What are doctrines of demons? Now the Spirit expressly says that in the latter times, which is today, some will depart from the faith. I mean, 1 in every 3 Americans doesn't believe in anything, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons, speaking lies. No, it's not thousands of generations move. It's 3. Speaking lies in hypocrisy. GodQuestions.org. Really, you answer the questions from the Bible, yet you don't even bring up the Bible. According to your understanding, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron. I mean, what am I missing? What am I missing? I'm told to report to Paul's unit. What do you want me? What am I missing?
The only ethical concern that people run into. There's also concerns about exactly what these different vaccines specifically do and how they work. And again, that's not only way outside our realm of expertise, it's way outside of our comfort zone. So when we're answering these questions for people, we're telling them, look, we can give you a basic idea, but if you have any sort of a concern over what the vaccine's actually going to do or the effects that it's going to have, you have to talk to a doctor about that, because we're not here to provide that kind of understanding or that kind of advice. The other thing that it does is it does make for difficult conversations when we're having these discussions with fellow believers, because there are questions that come up. At what point in time am I no longer comfortable with these being new vaccines? How much of a connection to something like abortion am I willing to tolerate for supposedly the greater good? How much am I willing to participate in something like this? And having accurate understanding doesn't necessarily make the conversations easy.
I mean, one more time. Remember,
we can give you a basic idea, but if you have any sort of a concern over what the vaccine's actually going to do or the effects that it's going to have, you have to talk to a doctor about that, because we're not here to provide that kind of understanding or that kind of advice. The other thing that it does is it does...
You're telling millions and millions of Christians to talk to a doctor. All right, talk to a doctor. Let's stop right there. All right, talk to a doctor. All right, a scientist. Somebody that knows. All right, somebody that knows. All right. Okay. Okay. One of those guys. All right. So let's see if we can do that. Here's one of them. Matter of fact, how about this guy? This guy right here is the creator, coming right from the horse's mouth, of the MMR vaccine, rubella, measles. The guy that created the measles vaccine. Right? Stanley Hopkins, right here. Okay, this is from, right here, folks, out of the horse's mouth. You're going to hear, right now, he is on the hot seat here in court. All right, you're going to hear this open testimony. Right? It don't get any better than this, because this man is a man that created and invented your measles vaccine, rubella vaccine. The guy that brought abortions, the whole thing of abortions and vaccines. Because remember, Edward Jenner, the guy that the father of vaccines, the guy that created vaccines, that acknowledged Yahweh, there wouldn't even be vaccines if that guy didn't do what no scientist could do. He had no intention of using aborted fetal cells. The man acknowledged Yahweh. This man over here, he hates Yahweh. He does not like Yahweh. You could see it. As a matter of fact, right now he's in court because against a Catholic woman right now who is suing him. This is what this is all about. Coming from the man that they call the godfather of vaccines, but not the creator of vaccines, okay? of your MMR vaccine. This is where with COVID it's going to go later on, right here out of his mouth.
This study involved 74 fetuses.
Let's ask him. 70 how many?
Exactly how many. Turn to page 12 of the study. No, 76.
76.
And these fetuses were all 3 months or older when aborted, correct? Yes. Okay. And these were all normally developed fetuses, correct? Yes. Okay. These included fetuses that were aborted for social and psychiatric reasons, correct? Correct. What organs did you harvest from these fetuses? Well, I didn't personally harvest any, but a whole range of tissues were harvested by co-workers. Okay. And these pieces were then cut up into little pieces, right? Yes. And they were cultured? Yes. Okay. Some of the pieces of the fetuses were pituitary gland, that were chopped up into pieces to okay, included the lung of the fetuses? Yes. Okay, included the skin? Yes. Kidney? Yes. Spleen? Yes. Heart? Yes. And tongue? I don't recall, but probably yes. I just want to make sure I understand. In your entire career, this is just one study. So I'm going to ask you again. In your entire career, how many fetuses have you worked with? Well, I don't remember the exact number, but quite a few when we were studying them originally, before we decided to use them to make vaccines. Have any sense? I mean, this one study had 76. How many other studies did you have that used aborted fetuses? Oh, I don't remember.
That one study had 76. He doesn't remember how many studies he did.
One of the objections to vaccination by the plaintiff in this case is the inclusion of aborted fetal tissue in the development of vaccines and the fact that it's actually part of the ingredients of vaccines.
Here it is, right there, out of the horse's mouth. Thousands of generations? No, 3 generations.
I'm aware of those objections. The Catholic Church has actually issued a document on that which says that individuals who need the vaccine should receive the vaccines regardless of the fact, and I think it implies that I am the individual who will go to hell because of the use of aborted tissues, which I am glad to do.
Which is glad to do.
Do you know if the mother is Catholic? I have no idea. Okay. So she should consult her priest. If she's a bad Christian, I guess.
I have no love for
that. So we got 76 in this study. Would you approximate it's been a few hundred fetuses? Oh no, I don't think it was that many. Probably not many more than in this paper. And I should stipulate that we had nothing to do with the cause of the abortion. Some of these are for psychiatric institutions, correct? Actually, all I can say is that the fetuses that I personally worked with actually came from Sweden, from a Swedish co-worker, and so I, in no case, was able to determine what exactly the reason for the abortion was. I'm just asking you, some of the fetuses that you did use did come from abortions from people who were in psychiatric institutions, correct? I don't know that. What I'm telling you is that I got them from a co-worker, and if it's stated in the paper, it's true, but otherwise I do not know. So if it's in the paper, you don't contest it, right? I don't contest it, no. Have you ever used orphans to study an experimental vaccine? Yes. ever used the mentally handicapped to study an experimental vaccine?
I don't recollect ever doing studies in mentally handicapped individuals. At the time, in the 1960s, it was not an uncommon practice. So, you're saying, I'm not clear on that, so I'm sorry. Have you ever used a mentally handicapped to study an experimental vaccine? What I'm saying is I don't recall specifically having done that, but that in the 1960s it was not unusual to do that, and I wouldn't deny that I may have done so. Okay. There's an article entitled Attenuation of RA-27-3 Rubella Virus in early life 38 human diploid cells. Are you familiar with that article? Yes. In that article, one of the things it says is one of the things it says is 13 seronegative, mentally retarded children were given RA-27-3 vaccine. Okay, well, that's in that case, that's what I did.
All right. What I want to emphasize on this one, guys, is this point right here.
This study involved 74 fetuses, correct?
See if I can.
No case was able to determine what exactly the reason for the abortion was.
I'm just asking you, some of the fetuses that you did use did come from abortions from people who were in psychiatric institutions, correct?
I don't know that. What I'm telling you.
Let me see if I can back it up. See, it's.
If she's a Christian, I guess, right? And in any event, so we have 76 in this study by the plaintiff cases.
This part
the inclusion of aborted fetal tissue in the development of vaccines and the fact that it's actually part of the ingredients of vaccines.
What you see, that doesn't say thousands of generations, 3 generations, right here.
I'm aware of those objections. The Catholic Church has actually issued a document on that which says that individuals who need the vaccine should receive the vaccines regardless of the fact, and that I think it implies that I am the individual who will go to hell because of the use of aborted tissues, which I am allowed to do.
Okay. Do you know if the mother is Catholic?
I have no idea.
Okay. So
she should consult her priest.
If she has
she should consult her priest. The doctor and scientist here is telling you she should consult her priest. I see. She should consult her priest. Okay, he's the guy that created the MMR vaccine. He's not the guy that created vaccines. The guy that created vaccines would never have gone along with that at all. At all. He was a devout Christian, Edward Jenner. This is the guy that created. The guy doesn't even believe. Just total hater of Yahweh. But what's fascinating about that is these guys here, gotquestions.org. All right. That people call, this. Let me one more time. From this guy here.
An abortion, but those abortions weren't performed specifically for the purpose.
So what? Because yes, he's turned one.
And they are not being continually performed.
This guy, I wonder sometimes.
So that gives us at least a more accurate grounds for understanding, okay, where do I choose personally to draw the line of how much connection I would like to have? And that's where we start to get into some of the more uncomfortable, awkward balances between competing interests and competing ideals. The rubella vaccine, for example, I know is produced using...
The rubella vaccine is the guy, Stanley Plotkin. You just heard him out of his mouth just a while ago, just right there in court, 2018.
Some of those techniques, but my understanding is is that somewhere around 5,000 miscarriages a year here in the United States are prevented because mothers are vaccinated against rubella. So if we were to step away from the rubella vaccine as an example because of an abortion that occurred in the past, then we would have to at least grapple with that idea. And that's not the only ethical concern that people run into. There's also concerns about exactly what these different vaccines specifically do and how they work. And again, that's not only way outside our realm of expertise, it's way outside of our comfort. So when we're answering these questions for people, we're telling them, look, we can give you a basic idea, but if you have any sort of a concern over what the vaccine's actually going to do or the effects that it's going to have, you have to talk to a doctor about that.
Well, they just got done and now they're in court, and he's saying to talk to you, their priests, and you're giving them a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You make no sense. It sounds like you're working for the other team, but I don't know how to say this. What this sounds like to me, just to me, but then again, we're going to go to the scriptures, not my opinion. We're going to look here into the word of Yahweh and allow the word to interpret this, because, hey, I'm a fool. What do I know? I mean, I can't. Something you can't believe what I'm hearing. Let's go over to. Second Timothy 4, in 2 Timothy chapter 4, 2 Timothy 4, verse 1, 2 Timothy 4, 1. I charge you in the sight of Yahweh and of the Messiah Yahshua, who shall judge the living and the dead, and by his appearing and his coming and his kingdom, preach the word, be urgent in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort, with all long suffering and teaching. For the time will come, and it's here, when they will not endure the sound doctrine. They'll just delete it. Yeah, just delete it. But have itching ears, and will heap to themselves teachers after their own lusts. Like this guy here. Story about his dad. Okay. After their own lusts. Alright. Matter of fact, see if I could find that to verify that.
Because as long as it's the exact same material, the vaccines, or to produce the vaccines, that also is not the case. Where there is truth in this connection between abortion and the vaccines is in something that are called fetal cell lines.
Go find that.
Incidental to those, doctors took samples of cell. They would use the same lines because as long as it's the exact thousands of generations away from actual from an abortion, but those abortions weren't performed specifically for. Okay, where do I choose personally to draw the line on how much connection I would like to have? And that's when we start to get into some of the more uncomfortable, awkward balances between competing interests and competing ideals. The rubella vaccine, for example, I know is produced using some of those techniques, but my understanding is that somewhere around 5,000 miscarriages a year here in the United States.
Not yours, understanding yours.
Because mothers are vaccinated against rubella. So if we were to step away from the rubella vaccine as an example, because of an abortion that occurred in the past, then we would have to at least grapple with that.
So forget
that's not the only ethical concern that people run into. There's also concerns about exactly what these different vaccines specifically do and how they work. And again, that's not only way outside our realm of expertise, it's way outside of our comfort zone. So when we're answering these questions for people, we're telling them, look, we can give you a basic idea, but if you have any sort of concern over what the vaccine's actually going to do or the effects that it's going to have, you have to talk to a doctor about that, because we're not here to provide that kind of understanding or that kind of advice. The other thing that it does is it does make for these are difficult conversations when we're having these discussions with fellow believers, because because there are questions that come up. At what point in time am I no longer comfortable with these being new vaccines? How much of a connection to something like abortion am I willing to tolerate for supposedly the greater good? How much am I willing to participate in something like this? And having accurate understanding doesn't necessarily make the conversations easy, but it does help a little bit. Where it gets more complicated is in knowing how to navigate having disagreements with fellow believers without it.
I apologize. I thought I cut the video off, but later as a video, because I don't want to keep the video that long, but get the key point here. But later, as this video continues, it's longer than this, but this gentleman, I know you're just taking my word, but this gentleman he'll bring up a situation with his father, and when I think it was the rubella vaccine, which came out just a year later or something like that. In other words, it's personal. It's his own. In other words, he's biased towards, and I understand. I'm not judging him, but in other words, the word of Yahweh doesn't go off of your one opinion, as it says here. For the time will come when they will not endure the sound doctrine, but having itching ears will heap to themselves teachers after their own lusts. In other words, his thinking of Scripture or of Yahweh, because he's not even bringing up Scripture. He's actually going to just throwing Ecclesiastes 10:1 out, Luke 5:31-32 out, just totally throwing it out. It's ridiculous. Actually, most of these guys are, and will turn away their ears from the truth and turn aside for fables. Well, 5,000 women, that nonsense. But you be sober in all things, suffer hardship, do the work of an evangelist, fulfill your ministry, for I am already being offered, and the time of my departure has come. All right, right there. That's all you're getting. That's all you're getting, folks, out of gotquestions.org. Now, where this is going to lead, I'll show you exactly where this is going to lead. So just after that, now that same narrator now is dealing with this problem. Once they started lifting the restrictions, okay, churches are people aren't allowed to congregate. This has turned into a huge thing. What are you guys dealing with now? Church disunity. Church disunity. Arguing and fighting. Divisions in the body. Here you go. Oh, Jesus. Same guy hosted a year later. Church disunity and COVID-19. What's going on, guys? Same guy. Has a beard.
All churches were adjusting to the coming out of the lockdown restrictions, adjusting to all the new realities that had to face. This is kind of a part to that. Obviously, several months later, our topic today will be primarily what is the cause of all the disunity we're seeing in churches related to pretty much all things COVID. I've had several good pastor friends tell me that they've never seen in their whole ministry experience godly, mature believers landing on such opposite sides of the spectrum on COVID-related issues. So that's what I'm going to be talking today. I've got three friends of mine who serve the Lord in pastoral ministry. I've got Eric Cartier, he's the lead pastor at Rocky Mountain Calvary here in Colorado Springs. I've got Al Pittman, the lead pastor at Calvary Worship Center, also here in Colorado Springs. Scott Miller, who's a long-time volunteer writer for God Christians Ministries, also a church planner, interim pastor, and he serves in various roles related to church conflict resolution. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you. Now, let me say a quick story here. This kind of illustrates some of the difficulties we've had. The church I attend here in Colorado Springs, we had a men's retreat not too long earlier in the fall, and we knew there'd be conflict if people started talking about COVID. Now there's people, this person is way out to the right, this person's way out to the left, or whatever. Didn't want to have to keep them away. So me and our lead pastor came up with the idea of creating what we call the COVID jar. It's sort of like a cuss jar, and that So, the first question I want to ask the three of you, so seemingly godly and spiritually mature believers are taking strongly opposing viewpoints on virtually all things COVID related. Why is this? Eric, why don't you lead us off?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is Satan's an opportunist. He loves
Really? That's yes,
swim
sir.
in murky water. COVID's really given him the opportunity to bring division. So I think
Yes.
in a lot of ways, Satan's been laughing at the body of Christ that he can get us to divide.
Yes, he's right. Finally, somebody's bringing up Satan. Wow. Wow. Very, very good. One problem is what he's going to say in a minute. One problem, and this is what astonishes me, y'all are ministers. This is what astonishes me, is that these are ministers. I'm just in shock. Galatians 6:6. Deleting my comment. Just flat out deleting it. Galatians 6:6 says, have you all heard what Galatians 6:6 says? Okay? It is part of my job. Your job is different, and it's spiritual warfare. It's different ranks, okay? Galatians 6:6. Why am I being told to report to Paul's unit? What? You want me to argue with Yahweh? Galatians 6:6. He was my least favorite as a messianic. I've said that many times. Not no more. Not anymore. Not anymore. The messianics were teaching Paul wrong. Galatians 6:6. We find clear as day. But let him that is taught in the word since the age of 5, most of the IVU ministers were drilled in it the way I was as Messianic from 5 up. That's all I'm saying. I wanted to become a minister when I got older, first a history professor, but it didn't materialize. I went down another way. That was another way. I had a lot of hard lessons I had to learn, a lot of mud on my face I had to find out the hard way. With that being said and done, is all part of my training. Today, now, why is the Holy Spirit leading me to a passage that I always knew was there? But let him that is taught in the word, right here, communicate to him that teaches in all good things. You guys, what do? Delete the comment, huh? Why? This is the authority I have to do that. Why? So this gentleman here brings up why is he so Satan? First, thank you. But makes one mistake, one problem with him. He's going to openly admit, which is courageous of him, that he downplays the spiritual aspect of spiritual warfare. He's going to say it like that. And this is what most people do today. Actually, most of y'all, it's so easy for me to see. A lot of people, you go the carnal eyes. In other words, we speak, what he's forgetting, folks, is what Paul is saying clearly. All right, in 2 Corinthians and 1 Corinthians 2, verse 6, we speak wisdom in a mystery, but amongst they that are full grown. All right, things that I saw not, ear heard not, neither entered into the heart of man. That's why he's he's got half of it, but then the other half is why he blinds the bat. Yes, Satan sees a perfect opportunity, the murky waters, yes, and there's one in the scriptures, there's one story in particular that will help you out, and that's the book of Job. Yes, sirree, but
over these issues. I'm not real quick to warm up to the spiritual battle. Unfortunately, I think of that last, but we know that Paul told us that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. So I do think there's that spiritual component where the enemy's wanting us to divide over these issues. And I definitely have seen believers that I really love and know that they love the Lord take very opposing views.
I give him credit. I'm not dogging him. The fact that he's admitting it is true. I'm here to help. This gentleman here is going to get it a little bit better, but where's your backbone? Okay, but the reason why Job is because we know what happens. We know that Satan has the ability to do powers and wonders. We know that he presented himself before Yahweh we know that whole story well. And what happened with Job and his three friends? What was remember, Satan struck Job from head to toe with the boils. Maybe you know the story. Job goes down this path of kind of not blaming Yahweh, but this self-righteous path. Like he's the victim, but it's Yahweh is the struggle with Job, because he's kind of doesn't understand why Yahweh is not, in other words, and Satan doesn't even get brought up. In the process, his three friends, you know that story, that's what a lot of it's about. They're there to console him because they heard of the devastation that's been going on for Job. But in the conversations between the three, these were ministers like y'all. How ironic. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Just like that. These three ministers also, because Job, they're beginning to notice Job is just in this down bad mood, self-righteous mood, and an argument will eventually open up between Job and the three friends of his that are going a little bit dogma, I guess, if you want, on him. You know the story. And in the meantime, you got a young man that is just waiting his turn to just give Job good encouragement. Since he's younger, he's waiting, but he's hearing the conversation. That's just going downhill, because what he's witnessing is 4 men that are his elders, mentors of his, like I had when I was younger, that are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge. And finally, in chapter Job 32, by Job 32, this what turned out with a good thing ends as a quarrel, finishes up in Job 32, and it says this, Job 32:1. So these 3 men ceased to answer Job. I got that back. There's a split, an argument, disagreement, like what you guys are doing with, what you ministers are dealing with, a disagreement over something, lack of knowledge. Both sides, a lack of knowledge. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu. That's the young man that's just listening, waiting. As he's listening, he's like, he's the one that is raised in the truth, that's trying to get a hold, excuse me, guys, you need to listen to what I have to say. That's what you're going to do in a minute. Now, I'm y'all's age, I'm not that young anymore, but I have the advantage of being taught drilled at a very young age. You guys don't. That's why the scriptures harmonize. That's one thing I will give the Messianics credit, even though I was wrong in the doctrine. I used to chop guys like these up to shreds in my youth, but because they don't arm themselves right, even though the Holy Spirit protected them. The thing is, though, the Messianics did give me, they were right. You guys don't sharpen your blades up for this stuff, and this is why I'm here to help now against the Messianic, but this is the problem. You're going to be deleting my stuff. All right? Now, what goes on? So, these 3 men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the young man that's waiting his turn, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the family of Ram, against Job, and his wrath kindled because he justified himself rather than Elohim. Also against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled. He's upset at both of them, rightfully so, because they had found no answer, you guys. No answer. Yet you're gotquestions.org. Just nothing from the video about why, nothing. Just a bunch of Hebrew. That's all. That's it. No substance. Christians destroyed for lack of knowledge. Really? And then when you're given that, you ignore. Why? Or delete the comment. What in the world? Against Job was his wrath kindled because he justified himself rather than Elohim. And also kindled against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled because they had found no answer. Well, just leave it in Yahweh's hands. Hello. Also against his 3 friends was his wrath kindled, and yet had condemned Job. Yeah. Like that's what my biological family, same thing. Okay, yeah, some things will never, I understand. But some things Yahweh's given to you right in your face. If you just, it's so obvious. Ask and you shall receive. No stone will be turned. Hello. But then they're quick to judge everything. See, one-sided. Doctrines of demons. full of hypocrisy. Now Elihu had waited to speak to Job because they were older than he, and when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, there's no answer. Just deleting my comment, his wrath was kindled. I know, I gotta try. That's the problem. All you do is kill. What do you think this is, folks? Probably I'm not that young anymore, but you know. And Elihu, the son of Berekah, he goes off on both of them. Yeah, Yahweh chooses what? The foolish things of this world, the weak things is younger, the despised things, right? Because you're just, what do you know? What do you know? You're just what? A bus driver, right? What do you know? You're not a scientist. That garbage. And he just goes off on him. Then Yahweh shows up. Boy, does Yahweh show up, chapter 38:1. Then after Yahweh answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Notice how he let Elihu speak. There you go, because he's right. Who is this that darkens counsel out of a whirlwind by words without knowledge? Gird up your loins like a man, for I will demand of you and declare you to me. Where were you? Well, yeah, Yahweh just goes off. He goes off. Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Like the guy a while ago from gotquestions.org. What are you talking about? It's ridiculous. But this young man here, of these three, I'll give him credit. He is correct. It's because he does not, and a lot of y'all just do not take spiritual warfare seriously. It's like you can't see. People are dying by the. Forget carnal warfare. It's not even. What you are doing. It's like you don't even know what's happening in front of you. Yet you complain about what's in front of you. That's the problem, because yet you know what the scriptures say. We speak wisdom and mystery. Yeah, folks, it's true. Surprise, it's true. I'm telling you, it's true. It's right there in front of me. Wake up. So now this gentleman here is going to, he's got a little bit butter, but where's the backbone, man? Spit it out.
So instead of Christian love winning out, sometimes it seems that division is winning out.
Because you're destroyed for lack of knowledge, like Job.
Yeah, I'm total agreement with that. It is definitely spiritual warfare.
Yes, it is.
The scripture tells us that it's the things that are not seen that are really reality, the things that are seen are temporal. And the things that aren't seen, like the virus and spiritual warfare, that really cause people to be divided, unfortunately, even in the church sometimes, partly because I think personal opinion, and that is in regards to maybe the constitutional rights and that type of thing.
Or their understanding, that's a problem.
Personal conviction. People have certain convictions about certain things.
Their personal understanding, not Yahweh.
Or different opinions. And as Eric said, a lack of harmony and unity as a result within the body of Christ, which is tragic. But I think there's a conflict there because people have exalted COVID, I believe, above Christ.
They've exalted the vaccine.
There should be the centrality of Christ within the church, and what we have sometimes, the centrality of COVID, and that's unfortunate and tragic.
I've noticed that quite frankly, people are getting information from different places, and I think social media has had a way of ramping up things. Before, people could have opinions and they would tend to talk with their circles. Now it seems that people post and repost, and as a result, that sets them in a box as to really what
It does talk clearly about.
It's easy to get polarized on that based upon whether you're emphasizing rights or emphasizing fear, or what I find is that people are kind of labeling people, either it's anti-this or it's you're doing that, and as a result, people react to that. And I think that there's a knowledge versus love, as you guys noted, and also faith versus stewardship, and then again, fear that comes into play. I think fear can be on both sides. One might be a fear of being taken over or being taken advantage of, or a fear of what the disease is doing in of itself. And these things have been very difficult for mature Christians to handle because they see their friends on one side or another, and it's caused a lot of division that way.
Okay, like this gentleman said right here, and this is why I'm sorry, excuse my passion. Excuse my passion.
Christians don't have the solid things that we're used to as well, and such. I also noticed that because of the way communication has come out in our country, some of the political stances that have been taken.
Back up here. Get on
as to really opinions, and they would tend
there you go.
from different places, and I think social media has.
Back up one more time. There you go.
And I've noticed that, quite frankly, people are getting information from different places, and I think social media has had a way of ramping up things.
I'm on social media.
Before, people could have opinions, and they would tend to talk with their circles. Now it seems that people will post and repost, and as a result, that sets them in a box as to really what their thoughts are, and then people start prejudging that, and as a result, they can be very adamant that person is wrong.
Where do they get their information from? Okay, he goes social media, like, huh? I mean, I'm not saying like okay, well, you're GodQuestions.org, right? That's who you are, GodQuestions.org, okay? And some people go to you. Some people go to you, okay? Some people go to you. Actually, a lot of people, a lot of believers go to you, all right? And as they're going to you, like I showed a while ago, okay, you get guys like this guy right here that then tells them to go talk to the doctors, the scientists, okay, them. Okay, you know, in other words, that's who you go to. You go to the unbelieving. What do I mean? Simple. 2 Corinthians 6. 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Okay? If you're going to bring up social media, and this guy's over there, you know, one of you guys, and he's telling them to go to the unbelieving side. Remember, 2009 Pew Research, 44% of all scientists here in America, they don't believe at all in any God or gods. And nope, they don't. And that was in 2009 with the number growing. That's where you want them. And now I showed at the beginning of this video the science where the guy just says the whole thing, not one mention of Yahweh. Those guys, yeah, they're going to lead you. But we know this Jesus sent the backs. Got it. Think about how ignorant and foolish that sounds. 2 Corinthians 6. 2 Corinthians 6. As we search the scriptures daily to see if what I'm finding is just astonishing. It's ridiculous. No wonder there's mass confusion. No wonder Satan is doing his job well. Some of y'all don't even know. I wonder if y'all are those men of old from the book of Enoch that snuck in and are just reaping havoc on the body. 2 Corinthians 6:14. Be not equally yoked with unbelievers. Be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness? What fellowship has be not unequally yoked with unbelievers? For what fellowship have righteousness with iniquity? Or what communion has light with darkness? And what concord has the Messiah with Belial? Or what portion has a believer with an unbeliever? And what agreement has a temple of Yahweh with idols? Yeah, temple of Yahweh with idols. For we are a temple of right there. So do you do? Go see Stanley Plotkin. The guy clearly was telling you to go consult your priest. I'll do it again. Yeah, that garbage. That is what that's your solution. Really? Because you're destroyed for lack of knowledge, or you're one of them. I don't know. I'm just saying, but I'm not. I could tell. Hello. You know, I have no idea what in the world you're. With that being said and done, or the National Cathedral, the great big National Cathedral, the house of prayer for the United States of America. They say the house of prayer for the United States of America. It's the second largest church in the U.S. Oh, that's where, when you think of the Church for America, that's the National Cathedral. Big old Episcopalian church over there, huge. Presidents go, all that. That's the Church of America. That's what they call it, yeah. The National House of Prayer. That's when you think God, Jesus, and you think of in America, the National Cathedral. What the temple was to Israel, that's for us, right, in America. Okay. Over in Matthew, if you search the scriptures daily, over in Matthew, the Messiah, Yahshua, is going to talk about the end times. The disciples want to know the signs, like, you know, I don't blame them, I get it, I totally get it, we all do. All right? Yahshua only tells them so many things for their own benefit, it's for their own good. You can't tell them everything. It can't, because there's things, folks, there's evil and terrible places. But one thing he says in Matthew 24:15, when therefore you see the abomination of desolation, one problem, the abomination of desolation took place already almost 200 years before this happened. It's already happened. About 190 years have gone by since the abomination, desolation, Antiochus Epiphanes, all right, the Maccabean revolt, all that, and right here when Yahshua was saying it in real time. But notice in parentheses, it'll say, let him that reads understand. But yet when it's being spoken, no one's writing it down. It's not written down until later. Because, yeah, in other words, you guys today. When therefore you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet. So you'd want to read what, we know, which is what happened with Antiochus Epiphanes and all that. This is all, Yahweh knew these things preordained. Okay, bringing in the Greeks, the Hellenistic culture, all that did not, well, let's examine real quick, because GodQuestions.org did a little something on that. God Question, yeah, you guys put something out, a little something concerning this, and this is true, by the way. You guys are accurate. I love this field. But it's true. I'm gonna concur to what you're saying, but right now it's like what good do you do? You're blind as bats. You can't even go by for what you yourself know. And this is your stuff right here, but it is true. I will back you up on it right here. This is from God Questions, you guys. Okay? Yes, this is all factual information. I'm saying that I'm here to back you up. Say yes, sir, you are correct. You gentlemen, that whoever did this did a pretty good job on it. I think it's well suited. Who were the Hellenistic Jews in the Bible? Okay, the Hellenistic Jews are first mentioned in the Bible in Acts 6:1. In those days, when the number of disciples was increasing, the Hellenistic Jews among the Hellenistic Jews among them complained against the Hebraic Jews, because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. The believing Jews are here. The believing Jews are here divided into two groups. There were those who had remained in Judea near Jerusalem, who used the Hebrew language and who were appropriately called Hebrews. The other group consisted of those who were scattered among the Gentiles, who spoke the Greek language and who used the Greek translation of the Old Testament called the Septuagint. These were called Hellenistics, from a word meaning Greek or Greek speaking, or to Hellenize as to adopt Greek culture and ideas. Dissensions also between the Hellenistic Jews and the Hebraic Jews. The Hebraic Jews prided themselves in the fact that they had always lived in the land of the patriarchs, and that they used the language that their fathers spoke. They were near the temple and regularly worshipped there. These were more conservative, all right, like today. On the other hand, the Hellenistic Jews from other parts of the world were jealous of the first group and made to feel like outsiders. These are your liberal believers in the Messiah. Sadly, the strife between the two groups was not automatically eliminated by their conversion to Christianity, as the complaints concerning food distribution to widows of the two groups show. However, in a wonderful example of righteous wisdom and Christian unity, the early church worked through the dispute, and the office of deacon was formed. After Acts 6, the Hellenistics appeared again in Acts 9:29, when Paul talked and debated with the Hellenistic Jews, but they tried to kill him. They tried to kill Paul. Wow, the Hellenistic Jews in Jerusalem. Before the Messiah was born, the only thing I'll add to this is before the Messiah was born. Remember, Alexander the Great would take out Darius the Persian. All right, we're looking at about 330 BCE, 332 I think BCE, and then pretty much walk into Jerusalem. All right, the Jews didn't have really a problem with Alexander the Great because they were getting tired of the Persians already. All right, but and Alexander was fascinated by, he had asked them to do later on a Greek translation, which is called the Septuagint. But after Alexander dies, the story, his empire gets split by his 4 generals, and Judea falls now under the reign of Antiochus Epiphanes. I'm just just going over this just real vaguely, guys. All right, this guy's a tyrant. This guy does not like Jewish practices of the Old Testament, even though they're under that. They're bound by the law of Yahweh. He is all about Aristotle, Hippocrates, the stuff that America, people of today. Okay, he's about Greek, Hellenistic, your Dr. Fauci's, also his gods and all that. So he gets embarrassed I'm just summarizing, in Egypt by this Roman senator. Takes out his anger and comes back to Jerusalem on the Jews. Now, during this time period, Antiochus was already pushing Hellenistic ideas down the throat of Judea. And the problem is, half the Jews in that time period were becoming very liberal and just, wimps, just giving in to Greek ideas. Like, for example, there's one story where the Greeks, they built a gymnasium right across from, just catty corner to the temple of Yahweh. Of course, back then they would work out in the nude. That kind of stuff. Half the Jews just kind of accepted it, while the other half were furious. So amongst your own people, kind of like with you guys here, same thing going on, nothing new under the sun. Where these guys over here at GodQuestions.org today, now you got this big rift in the Christian community over COVID-19. Half of y'all don't even know that the Master said the healthy have no need of a physician, only the sick. I go with this like that, yet you say you love Jesus. In other words, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, the other half, once he came back to Jerusalem because he was embarrassed by that Roman senator, he goes on this mad tirade with the Greeks, and they begin to trash the temple of Yahweh. That he brings in a big statue of Zeus, but then puts his head on it inside the temple of Yahweh, the Holy of Holies, and then sacrifices a pig on the altar. That's the abomination of desolation. It turned into a bloodbath, but then later on, the Jews that had a backbone under Maccabees, boy, they whooped the Greek army 2 ways to Sunday. They ran them out of and that's when Hanukkah comes into play, and they re-sanctified the temple because somebody had a backbone to stand up for that. That was whether spiritual warfare or carnal warfare, there's different ways of doing this, but understand, where's your backbone? Where is your backbone? This is what this is all about. This is what that was all about. Yahweh knows that. That's where you get the book of Maccabees. Hanukkah comes into play later on. That was what this was all about. Well, and you're just going to sit there, oh, you got to follow the world governments. It says, excuse me, render to Yahweh render to Caesar what Caesar's, and what is to Yahweh's Yahweh's. And that's what half of y'all are not doing. Half of y'all are not doing. It's just clear as day. That's what that was all about. And today, folks, you got the same thing going on, but in the spirit. The same thing going on. Nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. So, Yahshua Messiah is saying, when therefore you see the abomination of desolation which was spoken in through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, let him that reads understand for a future generation. Then let them that are in Judea flee the housetops. Let him that is in, this is all he's describing right here, end time. Well, has that happened? Oh, let's see. The National House of Prayer. The National Cathedral. Yeah, it did happen in 2021, folks. This guy right here, Antiochus Epiphanes, was no man of Yahweh. He hated this Jewish temple. He was all about the Greek gods. That's why he brought in, and he sacrifices a pig on the altar of Yahweh. Even Yahshua Messiah flipped the temple because that's his dad's house. Even our master would have been, but understand. So you take this guy here, your modern day Antiochus the Greeks. Yep, a world good without God. Where do you think what do you think a humanist is? Humanists get their roots, they admit it openly, from Epicurus. Epicurus, that's right. The Greek philosopher Epicurus. Some of Paul had to deal with. A world good without God. This is their man of the year right here. He doesn't believe in the Messiah. Even if he had a Catholic background, no matter. He's already openly admitted that. All right, and this is their main guy. All right, he is the science. All right, Peter Hotez is another one over there. Faith. There's no excuse not to take that garbage, that evil. All, by the way, going back to the book of Enoch, folks. Well, in 2021, Yahshua says, when you see the abomination, desolation that Daniel the prophet spoke of, standing in the holy place. Well, the temple's been destroyed. Yahshua already said it was going to be destroyed. And let he that reads understand, meaning that, well, when was this written down? It wasn't exactly. In other words, we're talking future tense. Well, let's see. At the National Cathedral, pretty much the temple for the country of the United States of America, right here. Look who's standing in the holy place. How many of you ministers are listening as this guy walks into, just like Antiochus, into the holy place, just like Antiochus Epiphanes? The man represents a world good without God. That's what he is, their man of the year. And here he is. Remember, this is supposed to, what did you say? Got questions that, or COVID-19, the reason why he allowed it is to bring people to get their minds back on God, to bring back on Jesus. That stuff, right? Just like the Hellenistic Jews, no backbone, no nothing. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. And the master is on record as saying, when you see the abomination of desolation that Daniel the prophet well, what did you think that was? Well, let's see. Here in 2021, in the National House of Prayer, in front of all these ministers. Boy, Jezebel. I'll tell you, man.
Good evening. My name is Tony Fauci, and I'm the director of the National Institutes of
Where are you getting your information from?
Diseases at the National Institute.
Social media? Look, watch this.
I first wanted to underscore all the important points that were made by my colleague and friend, Dr. Francis Collins.
Oh, boy.
I'd also like to spend my couple of minutes talking to you a little bit about the facts and some of the fiction associated with vaccines.
Well, like Edward Jenner, you're going to talk about
How do
right?
these vaccines work? I often get asked that question by people who understandably want to learn more about what it is that's being injected into their arm. Vaccines that we have for COVID-19 all have one thing in common. It takes a single protein of the virus, not the whole virus,
And that protein gets expressed in different ways depending upon what particular vaccine platform that is being used in the vaccine that you will have. Some have a little snippet of messenger RNA that codes for the protein, the spike protein on the virus. Others are little harmless viruses that have the DNA for that spike protein, that when you inject it in, it makes the protein. The body thinks that it's the virus, but it's not the virus. It's a harmless protein component of the virus. So that when the body sees that, it thinks it's the virus, and it makes a very powerful immune response to protect you for when you do get exposed to the virus. So how do we know these vaccines work?
Well, Jesus said it.
We know they work because they've been tested in tens of thousands of individuals. 30,000 people in the Moderna trial, 44,000 people in the Pfizer trial, and 40,000 people in the Johnson & Johnson or J&J trial.
So that's your
and there's
faith?
more to come because there are also more vaccine candidates that we're evaluating.
Really?
A common question that we get asked is, how can you be sure that it's actually safe and effective? And the answer is, because they've been tested in tens of thousands of people, and the decision
What about, because God
about
said it?
whether it works,
Like the liberals always say.
safe and effective, is not made by the administration, not made by the Congress, not made by the pharmaceutical
Yahweh,
company.
right?
It's made by an independent group
Wow.
of scientists, ethicists,
Oh, boy.
statisticians who look at the data and in an independent manner decide whether it is safe and effective.
Wow.
Then that data goes to the FDA,
Oh, that,
whose career scientists look at it, and in association with their own advisory committee, make a decision whether or not it should be administered to all of us, myself included. So the answer is that the process is both independent and transparent. Another important question is, but telling us that it takes years to make a vaccine. How could you possibly have a vaccine when you just knew the virus was a new virus in January of 2020, and 11 months later you're injecting the vaccine?
because nothing's too hard for Yahweh, right? Go ahead, nothing's too hard for Yahweh. Tell him.
The extraordinary scientific
Oh,
advances
boy.
that
Wow.
have taken place decades before January 2020. In other words, things didn't start on January 10th, 2020. They started decades before.
Like the other scientists said, like you almost, like it's, you all
who
knew.
were working their
Huh?
way to the point where we can actually have this vaccine. Let me close by making a couple of
Wow.
comments about some of the myths about this
Oh, myths.
particular vaccine.
Oh, we'll go without God. Educate us.
We can understand how people can have these kinds of false rumors, but let's address them.
Oh, boy.
We often get asked, can you get COVID-19 from the vaccine? As I just told you, the vaccine is a small component of the virus. It's not the virus itself. So it is impossible to get COVID-19 from the vaccine. Secondly,
Facts.
does it get into my DNA? It is biologically impossible for that to happen. Can it make me sterile? There is no biological reason at all to think that that would happen, and already tens of thousands of people have received the vaccine with no significant adverse events. And then the one that's particularly interesting to me is that no, neither I, and I believe I can speak for Bill Gates, have put a chip into the virus when he gets injected in you. That might seem ludicrous, but there really are things as ridiculous as that that are being circulated. So I want you all to realize that this particular process is very well controlled with the highest standard of ethics. So I want to close by thanking all of the people who've been vaccinated,
How about Yahweh?
as well as those who
How about the
plan to
Messiah?
get vaccinated, because what you're doing is not only
Getting closer to God, right?
protecting yourselves, your families, and your communities,
Yeah.
but you're being part of the important process of ending this terrible pandemic that has essentially immobilized our country and the world for the last year. We will get through this, and we will get through it by vaccination.
Not Yahweh. That's it. The National House of Prayer. And then after this, how many of those ministers rolling up their sleeves and now putting, what did the Messiah say? When you see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, let he that reads understand. Right? What Daniel's talking about, right? Same thing with the Tigers Epiphanies. And then they're going to roll up their sleeves and then inject it into this temple also. Wow. They just knock out both ways right there, right after that. Matthew, that's the Messiah, the master himself, Yahshua, saying that. And not only that, 2 Thessalonians 2, Paul is reiterating it. 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 3, let no man beguile you that in any wise, for except the falling away come first. The falling away. What is abortion? What does the word abortions mean? Falling away. Fall away, falling away. That's what it means. Not fall, falling away. What's in those vaccines? Yeah. What a coincidence. No. Genesis 6, 1 through 4, the Nephilim were, yeah, remember the book of Enoch, which a lot of y'all don't know, yeah. Right. The sons of Elohim went into the daughters of men, they saw they were fair, yeah. Surprise. Let no man beguile you that in any wise, for except the falling away come first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. He that opposes and exalts himself against all that is called gods or God or Elohim, the Hebrew, that opposes all that are called Elohim, or that is worshipped, like a humanist. Yeah. A humanist, they're not quite atheists, they're humanists because they're a world good without God or gods. Yeah. You saw right there, the humanist of the year, this gentleman right here, standing in the holy place, and now you're going to inject that garbage that he just said not even once. Even Edward Jenner is wondering what, and y'all did it. He that opposes and exalts himself against all that is called Elohim or that is worshipped, well, hello, folks. He's the humanist of the year. So that he sits in the temple. He's about to sit down. They're going to ask him questions about Thanksgiving. What should you do? Yeah. Yeah, he's God now. So that against all that is called Elohim or that is worshipped, so that he sits in the temple of Elohim, which he does, and then you inject it in your temple, which it is, setting himself forth as Elohim. I am the science. A world good without God. Yeah. I call the shots. Don't you remember that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? Or were you deleting it or ignoring Tony? But you left Jesus? No, excuse me. No. And now, and don't you remember that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now you know that which restrains. Now, yeah, hello. Where's the Bible? Not one, nothing. You don't even know the scriptures. People are, hello, what are you doing? What is wrong with y'all? That which restrains. Where's your weapons? People are dying, man. To the end that they may be revealed in his own season. For the mystery of lawlessness already works. Only there's one that restrains now until he be taken out the way. Right, liberals, out of schools, prayer, all that, taken out of the way. Yeah. And then shall be revealed the lawless one, whom the sovereign Yahshua shall consume with the breath of his mouth and annihilate by the manifestation of his coming. That's science. You want science here? I want you to observe that. Even he whose coming is according to the working of Satan, with all power and signs and wonders of falsehood. It cured measles, it cured smallpox, right? The Pharaoh called his wise men in, the experts of Egypt. They were able to hang with Moses for a while. What was that all about? To teach you how this goes down. Yahweh changes not. Yahweh, where did alchemy originate from? Ancient Egypt. Who's the father of modern medicine? I mean, who do they consider the father of medicine? Hippocrates. Where did they study their in ancient Egypt? Who's considered the father of modern medical technology? Galen. Who did he idolize? Hippocrates. Named after these variants, named after COVID. Greeks, Hellenistic. That's it. The Jews seek signs. The Greeks seek wisdom. But Yahshua the Messiah, that is the power and wisdom of Yahweh, which we preach. Yeah, that's what we've been. No. It's a new evangel. This isn't the garbage. This is why I'm astonished. You tell me I need to grow a brain. I need to, God gives a brain. What do you think? Hello. Paul is saying what the Messiah already said. What is this, a joke? And so, what happens? It's because nobody wants to. Again, Jerusalem is it kills the prophets. You think it's a coincidence? Why 2018 Yahweh? Why? Why did you? I'm not going to question you, but I'm saying this, doing that deliberately. There's a point. There's a purpose for everything. There's a purpose for everything. Now I know why. I'm under orders. What do you say no? 2 Thessalonians 2. What does he say? What does it conclude by saying? Verse 8. And when shall be verse 9. Even he who is manifesting is according to the working of Satan with all power and signs and wonders of falsehood, and with all deceit of unrighteousness, for them that perish. Y'all, all of us that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth. No, just delete Tony's comment. Let's just ignore Tony. No, let's unfriend him. No, not just me, but this is really. Brother, yeah, love. I'm over here loving, trying to. Wow. My own family, man, really. And the truth, that they may be saved. And for this cause, Yahweh sends them a working of error. That's right. The data that y'all say is so right, that I can't. No. That's your working of error. That they should believe a lie. In other words, it's already. In other words, you can't see. You're not going to believe me. You won't. You can't. Right now, you're watching this. You don't believe me. Yeah, I know. That's sad. That doesn't mean that I can't try. But that's why. See, conundrum. Where's your faith? If Yahweh chooses the weak things of this world, the foolish things of this world, the despised things, I'm overqualified. Huh? Because you don't believe. That they all might be judged who believe not the truth, but had pleasure. I took the covet acts, righteousness. I'll finish up 2 Corinthians. Actually, America's on its way down, folks. Okay, I was going to go into that. America's on its way down. That's why I put it on today. Deuteronomy 28. And matter of fact, it was gotquestions.org. I didn't put that video on, but the one before that about why God allows pandemics. He's the one that brought up Deuteronomy 28. He doesn't read the whole context. I gave you the whole context. Deuteronomy 28, folks, that's came by way of the Holy Spirit. It's official. It's there's nothing you can do to stop it. America is going to reap what it sows, and a lot of that is because of you, MAGA. A lot of it, but more of it's really because of the liberal left. Both of them. Trump is doing his job masterfully for Satan, and he's taking so many MAGA. I'm trying desperately, man. I love y'all. Y'all are my brethren. I was taught y'all weren't. No, y'all were. They give all glory to Yahweh. And a lot of messianics that go along with this garbage too, Trump. He has perfectly discredited you. You serve two masters today. I mean, you're just ignoring me. Totally, I know. I know. In other words, I'm not dumb. Y'all see, for 5 years, y'all never seen them. You just ignore me. You really think I'm making all this up for this long? Really? Seriously? It's not about me. The thing is, I'm trying to help y'all understand. All right? To acknowledge Yahweh. All right, but Deuteronomy, I don't want to go into detail because that's going to be lengthy, but Deuteronomy 28, folks, when you break those words down, the Strongs, yeah. Consumption, that word, a lung disease, cuckoo, all right, which is the root word, all right, this mysterious bird, okay, bird flu at the same time. And then flat out these boils of Egypt, the itch and all that, measles, all broken down. Look at the Strongs. I'm like astonished. Yeah, everything that it says, these curses that you, there's everything you put your hand to do, like terrorists and all that, all of it, it's going to backfire. Cursed and confusion. That's part of it. Deuteronomy 28 goes hand in hand with 2 Thessalonians 2. The Bible does harmonize. It does. But first, cursed and confusion, as these diseases come down, because you're going to see there's diseases, there's a problem, pandemics, but you're going to panic. I wanted to, matter of fact, I'll try to touch upon this quick. Deuteronomy 28, because I know that these things are important anyway. Deuteronomy 28. In Deuteronomy 28, it's very clear. Yahweh is saying, if you do what is right and all that. This goes hand in hand. He has to tell the children of Israel again, because he already told them that in Exodus 15:26, but now we're in Deuteronomy. So, again, Yahweh is re-emphasizing this. I'll start at verse 15. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if you will not listen to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. Abortions. Put it in abortions. I mean, look what's going on in America today. Taking the Bible out of school. People failing to follow the science. All that garbage today. It's the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field, out in the country. Cursed shall you be, cursed shall your basket and your kneading trough, cursed shall be the fruit of your body, and the fruit of the ground, and the increase of your cattle. We've already got bird flu already all over these, and eggs, pretty expensive, right? And the young of your flock. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. Yahweh will send upon you cursing, confusion, and rebuke in all that you put your hand to do, until you be destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the evil that your doings, whereby you have forsaken me, because you chose not to believe in what would save you, but follow the science. Then you go on right ahead. And to break down those words in the Strongs, when you break those down in the Strongs, the authority peer-reviewed, okay, because remember, English didn't exist. It was written in Hebrew, the Old Testament. All right. When you look up those words, folks, I did it for you. I'll show you what they mean. I'll actually show you firsthand. Let's see if I can find these here. I think this was was this one of them? Let's see. I didn't have them numbered. Yeah, curse and confusion. Here's, you got one right here. What does the word confusion, or from cursed and confusion? That number is in the Strong's number 3994 in the Hebrew. Number 3994. The word means curse. Simple, right? But the root word, the root behind it, which is, I think I looked at, 779. Let me see if I looked that up. 779, which is the root. I'm trying to remember if I did or didn't. No, let's see. Let's see. adjective root, to execrate, bitterly curse, to bitterly curse, to curse, cursed be he, participle used in curses, nephal, abortions. That's what that means, nephal. Look up abortions, folks. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and after, when they went into the daughters of men, Genesis 6:1-4, Book of Enoch. Nephal. What a coincidence. To be cursed. This is your abortions connected right here, because Nephal means falling away, the great falling away, and abortions. When you go back to the original, what abortions means, that's where it gets its name from. Nephal, folks. I tell you right here. What a coincidence. What's inside these vaccines? What have you been? Yeah, that's the problem. To curse. Lay under a curse. Put a curse on. Yeah, what a surprise. Nephal. Out of all the words, Nephal. From Genesis 6:1-4, when these fallen angels come down, they lead to the evil spirits, and what do? They manifested themselves as men, and they go into the daughters of men, and they procreate these offspring in the pre-flood world, as y'all liberals are making fun of Yahweh because he's saving your, it's pathetic, man. It's really disgusting when you think about it. There are no coincidences in the world, folks. This word here is Nehum. This is from the word cursing, confusion, and Yahweh will send upon you cursing, confusion, and rebuke. This is the word confusion. When you look that up in the Strong's, originally from 1949, confusion or uproar, destruction, discomfiture, trouble, tumult, vexed, vexation. Okay, what this confusion means, this is what the word confusion. This is the word used in the original for confusion. Cursed and confusion. We know what cursed is. Something dealing with abortions and something else. It's cursed. Yeah, it is cursed. And then you put it in vaccines and mandating it while you're taking out the Bible. From 1949, confusion or uproar, destruction, discomfort, trouble, tumult, vexation, vexed, tumult, confusion, disquieted, discomfiture, destruction, trouble, vexed, vexation, tumult, confusion, disturbance, turmoil, disquieted, panic. Isn't there quite a bombardment? Measles vax, the measles, COVID, measles, people are dying, constant bombardment, nothing but vexation, confusion, misinformation, tumult, destruction, trouble, vexed, disturbance. Another person died of measles. All this, that is all you're seeing is all of this word, me-hu-mao, cursed and confusion, constant uproar. This goes in hand with 2 Thessalonians 2, because they refuse to believe it will save them. Yahweh will send them a working of error called cursed and confusion in the Old Testament. Paul's already telling you it's happening in the New Testament, and it's happening right in front of our face, folks. Every time one child, only 2 have died, only 2 allegedly from measles, it is huge because you're the vaccine, the idol, the vaccine. And see how that's going on? Pressure, and he causes the small and great, the rich and poor, the bond and free, to do what? Yeah, cursed and confusion. This is what that word means, folks. I'm showing you right there. That's here in America, folks. That's right here, made in America. Just primarily America. A lot of it, you know where that's coming from. Well, here's where it gets interesting. The word, let me go back here. That root word, let me go back to confusion that is used here in Deuteronomy 28. That root, that word for confusion, like I showed you, folks, is number, in the Strong's, it's number 4103. All right, number 4103. Number 4103 is from 1949, the root. All right. So we're going to look up the root of this word, which is representing for confusion. Our English word is confusion, but the root behind the Hebrew word, which is pivotal in Hebrew, you go to 1949. That word for, again, cursed and confusion, but this is talking about the confusion part. This is gonna help you understand what it's talking about even more, because it's the root of it. Let me see, actually, it's this one I'm reading. What's ironic about this, folks, it's pronounced whom, but what are the odds? M-E-D, med. Wow, does Yahweh have a way of saying things? That's the root, med. Oh, wow, what a coincidence, boy. Okay, a primitive, no coincidence, a primitive root. Okay, this is the root that's behind confusion, uproar. Another child has died of COVID. Another child has died of measles. Oh yeah, RFK's an idiot. I'm just saying, not making political. It's flat out. Or agitate greatly. The media is doing it. Yahweh's already got it going in motion. COVID. Oh, what did that one pastor say from God Questions? It seems like COVID is exalted higher now than the Messiah. Yes, and so is the vax. Destroy. Move, make a noise, turn on the measles cases are on the rise. Ring again, here it goes again, more fussing, yep, to distract, and it's doing a great job of doing that. Ring again, make a great noise. Measles, oh, the cases are on up, follow the science, murmur, roar, discomfort, be moved, to discomfort, to be in the stir. Oh, measles, those anti-vaxxers, all that, to murmur. That's your working of error. Yahweh changes not. And this is what caused Pharaoh to harden his heart, because his wise men and his sorcerers, Yahweh loved that, are duplicating what Moses did. Moses didn't have all the info yet, but just be patient, Moses, just hang on there. You're going to see what I'm doing. In other words, let your science save you now. And that hard heart, that pride, that's what I do with most of your pride. You don't want to admit you're wrong, but yet you love Jesus. No. That's not how this works. That is not how this works. That's a proud heart. Not everybody calls me master. I don't know you. You depart from me. That's how that works. Cursed and confusion. That is coming. It's Old Testament, New Testament. It is plain as day. It's already here. It's here, folks. You cannot stop it. Cursed and confusion. This is just rebuke, to leave, loose, forsake. This word here, folks, is again Deuteronomy 28. Yahweh will send upon you cursing, confusion, and rebuke in all that you put your hand to do. Go ahead, try to stop it until you be terrorists and all, until you be destroyed, until you perish quickly because of the evil of your doings. Roe versus Wade. It's just ridiculous. Whereby you have forsaken me. Yahweh, what does he mean by forsaking me? Simple. Taking him out of schools, taking him out of separation of church and state, a primitive root, to loosen, relinquish, permit, commit self, fail, forsake, fortify, take him out of, in other words, take him out of science, take him out of government. Fauci doesn't even bring him up once. Not even the guy that invented him is acknowledging, like, you just don't want Yahweh at all. Yet you don't love anybody, you don't love him, you love Jesus, no. To leave, lose, forsake, to leave, separation of church and state, this is all this is, to depart from. That's science, not religion. Don't bring the Bible to this, that garbage. Leave behind, leave, let alone. To leave, abandon, forsake, neglect. That's what you all have done to your Jesus. Nafal, there it is, abortions, Genesis 6:1-4. The book of Enoch, it's already a lot of y'all just don't know what the book of Enoch says. I think Yahweh, right here, destroyed for lack of knowledge. To be left to, what a coincidence. And you're injecting that in your arm. Then it says here in Deuteronomy 28, the word consumption, right here, this is the English word. Yahweh will make the pestilence hold fast to you. Oh, long COVID? Really? Yahweh will make that pestilence hold fast to you. Isn't that funny how most of the vaccinated get that long COVID? Until he has consumed you from off the land which you go in to possess. Yahweh will strike you with consumption and with fever and with inflammation and with fiery heat and with the sword. That word consumption is 7829 in the Hebrew, from the same as 7828, emaciation, consumption. Consumption, wasting disease, a wasting disease of the lungs. Yeah, COVID-19. Surprise. Really? Oh, the Bible's just a Harry Potter book. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Go ahead, unfriend me. Go ahead, folks. I mean, you know me, man. Oh, boy. And the root to that word, which you already showed you, the lung disease, right here, is 7828, from an unused root meaning to peel. In other words, emaciate the gall as thin cuckoo. A noun, a ceremonial unclean bird. Cacao, gull, seagull, yeah. A bird, like, talk about bird flu here? Maybe an extinct bird, extract meaning a very mysterious unknown root. Of course it is. It's called bird flu. What are the odds that comes along at the same time as COVID? 3 generations after you make this garbage and you lie about 1,000. No. It's 3 generations removed. Simple. So Yahweh, it's not just that, inflammation with fire, heat, and your heaven that is over you, over your head, shall be bronze, and the earth that is under you shall be iron. Yahweh will make the rain of your land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down on you until you be destroyed. Yahweh will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. We're pissing off a lot of them. You shall go out one way against them, and shall flee 7 ways before them, and you shall be tossed to and fro among all the kingdoms of the earth, and your dead body shall be food for all the birds of the heavens and to the beasts of the earth, and there shall be none to frighten them away. The way people hate us nowadays, because Yahweh will afflict you with the boils of Egypt. Oh, here comes the measles. The boils of Egypt, and with the tumors, and with the scab, and with the itch, of which you cannot be healed. Why does Yahweh say, out of all of this, he says one thing? He emphasizes this one, though. You will not be healed from it. Why is he? By the way, that bronze, all that paleness. Isn't it funny how rain has been, a lot of droughts in America and a lot of wildfires? Paleness, lividness, mildew, rust. Yeah, like things aren't as green as they used to be. How odd. How odd. But right here, those boils of Egypt. Those boils of Egypt. He says, of which you will not be healed. Why does he say that? That word, of which you will not be healed. Okay? That word is to prevail. In other words, a primitive root, to be able, literally, can, could, or morally, might, may, be able, any at all ways, no matter how hard you try, attain, can, away with, not, could, endure, might, overcome, have power, prevail, still suffer. To prevail, overcome, endure, have power, be nourished, you will not be healed. That word is telling me this, and it's only used for the part with the boils of Egypt, the scabs, the itch, because he knows he allowed you to get the gift of vaccines, and he knows that you now made it an idol, so you are going to curse and confusion yourself and panic with vaccines all you want. But the reality is, it's going to keep on mutating and confusing y'all, because why isn't it stopping the measles outbreak? Because he's telling you, I am not going to allow it to. What you're going to do is you're going to make this worse by blaming the unvaccinated. But the unvaccinated, hold on to your faith. Hold on to that crown. Stay strong. There'll be a reward for this. We are going to be falsely accused. We already are. We are already on. But I'm calling it now like COVID. It's begun, folks. They are following a working of error. In other words, Yahweh is now shut off that ability for vaccines to stop it. Now you're being led by a curse and confusion, because the whole point is you forgot about faith. You forgot the whole point. And now, to make that point, just to establish that point, I'll finish right here. This is where I'm going to hammer this right here. GotQuestions.org. I forgive you. I forgive you. I do. In the end, this is serious stuff that I'm throwing right now. This one right here, where I make that comment on, in case you'd like to know, was on this video that y'all put out. On the bronze serpent. And boy, the hypocrisy card, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. These guys, what on earth? Y'all did a video not too long ago, just a few weeks ago. And that's where I put that comment. And you guys, because I'm like, if you guys are smart enough to answer that, and you're correct, then what on earth are you doing when it comes to the vaccine? This video right here, which came out just 4 weeks ago, just recently, why is the bronze serpent used to say, and the audacity, it's like I feel like, and yet this is for you, this is the video where y'all took off my comment, because boy, I call it the way it is.
In today's video, I'll answer your question, why is the bronze serpent used to save the Israelites in Numbers chapter 21, verses 8 and 9? And afterward, as always, I'll share some helpful resources, so stick around until the end. Throughout the wilderness wanderings of the Israelites, God was constantly teaching them things about himself and about their own sinfulness. He brought them into the wilderness to the same mountain where he revealed himself to Moses, so that he could instruct them in what he required of them. Shortly after the amazing events at Mount Sinai, God brought them to the border of the promised land. But when the people heard the reports from the spies, their faith failed. They said that God could not overcome the giants in the land.
The giants in Nephilim. That's all.
God sent them into the wilderness to wander until that generation died out. Numbers chapter 14, verses 28 through 34.
So the children of Israel, when they heard the report of the spies about the giants, the Nephilim, right, or Raphaim now, by this time, Raphaim, they got discouraged that Yahweh could not overcome them. Kind of like your boys on the should Christians take the COVID-19 vaccine. Well, a lot of questions, the rubella vaccine, even though, yes, the abortion thing and the whole thing, but, but from my understanding that 5,000 women were saved, because of abortions and because of that vaccine and all that stuff. So give up on the fact that Ecclesiastes 10:1 said, give up on that. Give up on the fact that Yahshua Messiah said, the healthy have no, you just give up because you have no faith. And let's give you Tony's comment while we're at it too. And then let's go on here and talk about how Israel gave up. Just like Yahshua Messiah says in Matthew 23, go ahead and educate the masses, sir. As I read to you what Yahshua Messiah is telling you, let me tell you exactly what you're doing. Matthew 23. This is why I excuse my passion, because there's people dying and people that are going to die now because of this, because of they're following a false teacher full of Matthew 23. The Master says it clear. O Jerusalem, Matthew 23:37. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killed, or back up here. Matthew 23, verse 29. Matthew 23:29. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you blind the sepulchre, for you build the sepulchres of the prophets, and garnish the tombs of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, go ahead, tell them, well, had we Christians been back then, heard that evil report, we would have done it, the Israelites. No. Go ahead, you're doing it right now. It will be better for the Israelites than it's going to be for you, because you already knew their story, and you're teaching it, so it's going to be worse for you. That's why not many can become teachers, and then Yahweh corrects you, because he loves you, and what do? You delete my comment. Go ahead, talk about that. If we'd been in those days, we would have done like our fathers, right? Yeah. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that kills the prophets, that stones them that are sent to her. I'll delete Tony's comment. How often would I have gathered your children together, even as a hen gathers the chickens under her wings, and you would not? Behold, For I say to you, you shall not see me from this time till you shall say, blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahweh. By the way, I saw that video about people that use the correct name. You're wrong. You're wrong. And let this be as a testament. You are wrong. There's only one name under heaven which man can be saved, and that is Yahshua the Messiah.
Verse chapter 21. The people again got discouraged, and in their unbelief, they murmured against Moses for bringing them into the wilderness. They had already forgotten that it was their own sin that caused them to be there, and they tried to blame Moses for it. As a judgment against the people for their sin, God sent poisonous serpents into the camp, and people began to die. This showed the people that they were the ones in sin, and they came to Moses to confess that sin and ask for God's mercy. When Moses prayed for the people, God instructed him to make a bronze serpent and put it on a pole so the people could be healed. Numbers chapter 1, verses 5 through 7. God was teaching the people something about faith. It is totally illogical to think that looking at a bronze image could heal anyone from the snake bite.
I agree. It's totally illogical that a vaccine has the power to cure everything or to prevent everything. No, that's illogical, sir. It is illogical. So should the Christian take the COVID? So what do you have here? Church disunity. Surprise, because you're over here. See that? Now go ahead and preach like a hypocrite.
Exactly what God told him to do. It took an act of faith in God's plan for anyone to be healed. The serpent on the stick was a reminder of their sin, which brought about their suffering. There is no connection between this serpent and the serpent which Satan spoke through in the Garden of Eden. This serpent was symbolic of the serpents God used to chastise the people for their unbelief. A couple of additional lessons are taught in the Bible regarding this bronze serpent. The people did get healed when they looked at the serpent, and the image was kept for many years. Many years later, when the Israelites were in the Promised Land, the serpent became an object of worship. Exodus chapter 18, verse 4. This shows how easy it is for us to take the things of God and twist them into idolatry. We must never worship the tools or the people God chooses to use, but always bring the honor and glory to God alone. The next reference we find in the Bible to this serpent is in John chapter 3, verse 14.
Right there.
Jesus
right there. So why are you doing a video about should Christians take the COVID-19 vaccine? And all I heard from those three guys was just a bunch of Russians. That was thousands of generations. That garbage. Worship. And what you need to ask the doctor, worship that bronze serpent, the one that the righteous Hezekiah crushed and destroyed to pieces, because you're worshiping the tool, sir. That's all you hear from them. It's they're from the unbelieving Darwin scientists that have infected you. Now you're doing shows about church disunity because you've already get crushed in confusion. You reject faith. What you have here is a bunch of lip service for a lot of you Christians. And that's what this is. I'm warning everyone about this garbage right here. I'm calling it out because it is my job to do that. I'm under orders to do that. That's the video that my comment was deleted because I called it out in spiritual warfare and they could not handle the heat. So what do? They stoned Jerusalem. Well, all you heard from that man right there, and excuse my passion because there's people dying out there. I am trying desperately, man. Now the Spirit expressly says that in latter times, and this is that time, some will depart from the faith. Can't you see, giving heed to deceiving spirits that want coming out from them, and doctrines of demons, speaking lies and hypocrisy. Go ahead and talk about the bronze serpent. Go ahead, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron, which is why you deleted my comment, because I was searing into that. This is what angers me. Excuse my passion because I care, man. I care. God bless you all. I love you. In Yahshua's name, pray for another. I'm going to call it a day right there. Folks,